Peace, peace. This your host, Selah, Shalom. According to the text as it is written. And you know it's a vibe. You dig? It's always a vibe. You know what I mean? You know how we do. It's a vibes. Yes. Getting things in order. You hope the mic is on. That's right. Let's get it right. Mic check, 1, 2. Let me know if you hear me, family. Should be bright and clear, yeah? Peace and blessings to the family. I see ya. Large up yourself. Big up yourself, family. What it do, family? Peace and blessings. Your host, Selah Shalom, chiming in, tuning in. Decided to get up early this Sunday morning. Go online to holler at y'all for a little bit. Got nothing particular in mind right now. Still putting together some documentaries that's going to be coming soon. Just waiting on the time to really put it together because I've been busy. You diggy? Let me know if you can hear me. Loud and clear. That's what I needed to hear. Yeah, because the levels are jumping over here, so everything looking good. Peace to the family. Peace to everyone. You know what I mean? The Creator woke you up this morning. Some people ain't wake up this morning. Some people woke up in spirit this morning. You know what I mean? Be thankful you made it through the night. Because the spirits of darkness come out at night. The spirits of darkness come out at night. Oh, but best to believe that. The time of the spirits of darkness is at night. Because they can't take the light, so they do all their dirty work in the night. Yeah, the spirits of darkness. A good example of the spirits of darkness making their moves at night is in the Book of Wars against Jehovah during the Battle of 1,000 Years, when OAHSPE sent his angels down to earth to gain inspiration over the guardian angels to win over mortals through inspiration. But in that book, it shows you how the spirits of darkness use the night. Soon as sunset, all through the night, them spirits of darkness at work till the sunrise. When the sun rise, boom, they out of there because they can't take the light. OAHSPE shows you that. Shows you how the spirits of darkness move in the dark. That's why when you look at a lot of these horror movies, or a lot of these conjuring movies, they show you that the evil spirits begin activatively moving around at midnight. That's when they do their rituals. Even in these high practices, the Illuminati and all that, they do their rituals in darkness. Conjuring up dark spirits. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing wrong with the dark, don't get me wrong. But the absence of light is where the spirits of darkness move at. So they move in the darkness. They can't take the light. The light exposed them like Dracula. When Dracula hit the light, when Dracula see that light, he do everything he can in his means to get out that light and go into the dark. And that light stop burning him. You dig? Can't take the light. Family chiming in. What's good? Ronnie, I see you. I see you, no doubt. Black Beats, I see you. Shadow people, right. The shadow people. The shadow people is what? People. So there ain't nothing spooky about it. These are the spirits of darkness, the spirits of people who done crossed over, who have continued their practice in darkness. So just imagine you growing up. I know you know from high school you had some people that was mischievous and evil. May not necessarily say evil, or maybe be evil, depending on what city you grew up in. Because the big metropolitan cities, there'd be a lot of evil going on in them cities, right? Just imagine you coming up in the 9th grade and you got a friend that was bad, mischievous, always fighting, getting into things, stealing cars or whatever. But say he grow up to be professional in that department. So now he's robbing on a higher level, getting away with it, hurting, injuring people, whatever the case may be. So say he died in that manner. His spirit is going to continue to play out those behaviors in the atmospheric world and use that inspiration in spirit to inspire other mortals. So that's the deep thing about the OAHSPE. It shows you that evil spirits and evil angels, they're people. It ain't no spook somewhere that came from some other extraterrestrial world or some other celestial world, the 9th galaxy. No, they telling you evil spirits are your ass, one-time human beings. They just carry the practice in spirit. See, OAHSPE connects the physical world to the angelic world or the spiritual world. A lot of people believe in angels, but they don't connect themselves to think that that's a connection between human and angels. An angel or an ancestor, however you want to play name games, ain't nothing more than your descendancies, your parents, your mother, your father, your great grandmothers, your great parents. Those are your ancestors. Those are your angels in spirit. They continue their life in spirit, and as they develop in spirit, they become responsible spiritual beings. And then once they become responsible spiritual beings, they may be responsible enough to take care of other spiritual beings now coming into the realm. That's what you call a guardian angel. Or an angel that received the spirits of the dead and guard the spirits of the newly dead and show them the way. When you cross over, it's going to be somebody to show you and navigate through this world, through the spiritual world. You ain't coming into the spiritual world like you just knowing shit. No, you're going to come into the spiritual world just as destitute as you did when you came into the physical world. You ain't coming to the physical world just popping out the womb. Yo, that's north, that's south, that's east, that's west. You ain't know nothing when you was born and into this realm. You ain't know you was crawling on the ground. You ain't know nothing. You had to be taught everything by who? Your parents, those who was already existing in the realm longer than you, who's been in the realm long enough to have experience to teach you, because they was taught in the same manner, and so the generations go down. So it's the same thing with your physical death. Your physical death is your spiritual birth. When you die and you cross over in spirit, there's going to be somebody there to tend your spirit, regardless of how you died. Whether if you died peacefully in sleep, or whether if you died in a car accident, whether if you got shot down dead in the streets, when you cross over, there's going to be somebody there to greet you. Now, it's not all going to be the same. OAHSPE shows the variances. It's not you just cross over and here they go in their arms and doing this shit. Nah. You know what I mean? If you die violently, if you die aggressively, like in warfare, OAHSPE says that there's angels that are unapproachable. Meaning to say they got so much vengeance and hate, you can't approach them. So it shows you different types of spiritual birth. Spiritual birth meaning physical deaths. So those in the realm just watching the spirits enter in. They're like, okay, there go another one. Boom. Oh shit, let's go ascend to this one. Let's go attest to this one. You know what I'm saying? Your guardian angels is already watching you. So when your time of death is there, they're present. They know. Ain't no secrets in the spiritual world. Everything is open. So when we die, they don't estimate our death, but they're present when we die. So when we die, they collect the soul right there. They receive the spirit as it is ejected out the body. Linda, most definitely. The Creator will definitely protect and guide you to your desires. You know what I mean? Whatever your desires is, the Creator will give you that. You know what I'm saying? The Creator is fair deal. He don't put no restrictions on nobody. Whatever your heart desires, you can pursue it. You know, I like to light my joint, my spliff. You got the herbs right here, then you got the herbs right here. You can't go wrong with the herbs. I see you. Yeah, so you want to be on guard against the spirits of darkness, in darkness. Even when the night fall and it's nighttime, be on guard. The spirits of darkness is all around you, especially in the metropolitan cities like New York City, them boroughs like Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx. The spirits that's lingering in those cities, is plentiful. Think about all the people. Think about the times of Al Capone, from that time, from the early 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, all them gangsters and all them killings that you hear about dealing with that lifestyle. Coming up to today, how many spirits is roaming in them streets of New York City, Chicago, especially Chicago. They killing each other like it's a sport. And all those people that are getting killed, their spirits are being ejected out of their body untimely. Those are like untimely births. When you get killed, it's like an untimely birth. It's like a premature development. So you need special care, especially for the young. Because they're not fully comprehended. They're not fully developed. And teenagers, you're not fully developed. So them young boys of the drill culture killing each other off, they waking up in the spirit world chaotically. They working up in the spirit world destitute as babies because they didn't have a time to develop. So they're dying prematurely. Premature spiritual births. And then keep in mind, they could have vengeance on their killer. In spirit. So see, you from the Bronx, you know, yeah. I know people in New York that tell me they see spirit. I had my own personal spiritual encounter in New York on a level where books is flying off the table and stuff like that. So it's plentiful spirits in New York. It's plentiful Caribbean people, African people in New York that practice, you know what I mean, conjuring up, seance, dealing with these things. Especially the Haitians. They'll cast a goddamn spell on your ass quick. Any Caribbean Obeah man or Obeah woman would do them things. And there was a lot of that going on in New York. In the basements of New York. They doing these rituals. They doing these seance. They doing these conjurings. You know, they conjuring up spirits. And they casting spells on other people in the community. Yeah, that shit real, yo. That shit is real. Haram, I see you, it's good. Ain't nothing, just here freestyling, talking with the people. Building here and there. Talking about life, spirits, angels. The things that most people don't want to talk about. People thinking angels are fairy tales, not knowing angels are your people who done crossed over in spirit. You know what I mean? When you die, you think that's it? You think when you shed this physical body, that's it? This physical body doesn't contain your personality, your desires. You see that? That is entailed on your spirit, on your spiritual body. The righteousness you do, the love, the hate that you express, all that's entailed on your spiritual body. The physical body is just a vehicle for that shit to play out. But your spirit body is in question. You can know the intent of a person's spirit through their actions. You can know if a person is possessed by a spirit through their actions. You ever been down in the city and walking downtown and you see somebody just talking to themselves, or they talking real crazy, real loud, real obnoxious, but to themselves, to the point where you don't even want to make eye contact, because if you make eye contact with the person, they're going to lock their eyes with you and start trying to cuss you out, and you trying to avoid that. You been in those situations before downtown in the city? Them homeless people who be talking crazy to themselves? Oh, you think talking crazy? Yeah. That's how you could detect spirits that are engrafted on people when they are not their normal self. You know what I mean? Just like when drinking alcohol, when somebody drinks alcohol and get pissed drunk, they're not their normal selves. So, you know what I mean? There's levels of spiritual inspiration that the angels can influence mortals on. You know what I mean? The more you're engrossed, the stronger the influence. You know what I mean? If you're a righteous and good person, you wake up, hey, everybody, you boom, boom, boom. That's the nature of your spirit. You got a good spirit with you. But if you wake up and you grumpy and you mad and you come out the house mean mugging everybody, shows the nature of spirit on you. Shows the nature of your spirit and maybe the spirits that are inspiring you at the same time. No doubt. Yeah, right. Product placement indeed. You know what I mean? Possession. That's right, Haran. Possession. It's called possession. When spirits engraft themselves on mortals, spiritual progression, possession. That's interesting. Because even in, let me see if I can find that real quick in the book. In the book of Judgment, it talks about the engrafted spirits. Where the engrafted spirits dwell after death. If they can't engraft themselves on you, if the spirits of the dead cannot engraft themselves on you, they'll go linger somewhere in a house. And then when somebody moves in that house, they'll engraft themselves on that person. That's why a lot of people in the olden days didn't let you in their house. Because they didn't want to invite spirits in their house. Some of the ancestors, some of the elderly people still understand these things. Some of the stuff I'm talking about, maybe not as deep, but some of these elderly people know. And all this has to do with your grade. If you are a spirit of darkness, that's a low grade. So everybody is graded. Mortals, physical human beings are graded. Celestial, angelical beings are graded the same way. So if you're a physical being and got a grade 50, it's an angel in the spiritual realm or the atmospheric realm with the same grade 50, working their way up, the same way you working your way up. But those that are below the grades are the ones who practice evil. Evil spirit, evil practice, warfare, governments with standing armies. America got a standing army. Russia got a standing army. Africa got an army. Europe got an army. All those standing armies are classified as grade 1 in the OAHSPE. That's the lowest grade because it's dealing with self-preservation. So now, like in the book of Judgment, chapter 4, verse 11, it states, "But of such as are below grade 1, there are more than 6,000 million, which is 6 billion, being mostly such angels as know nothing more than babies. Though for the most part they were full-grown adults as to earth life." So you have the possibility of crossing over in spirit, dying, and know nothing and be destitute like a baby. So it's almost like you never even existed when you cross over if you carry a low grade. So if your grades are low, when you cross over, it's as if you never existed. You're gonna forget that you existed. It's like a dream. I mean, it's like sleep. When you sleep and you wake up and you don't know nothing in between them hours, that's how it's gonna be. But eventually, don't get me wrong, you're gonna regain consciousness, but it's just gonna take some time. But when you first cross over, you're gonna be destitute as baby. You're gonna be like you sleep. So it states again, "But of such as are below grade 1, there are more than 6 billion, being mostly such angels as know nothing more than babies, though for the most part they were full-grown adults as to earth life." Now here is the conditions of such spirits after death. Some are fetals, some engrafters, professional reincarnators, who dwell with one mortal during his lifetime, then engraft themselves on another mortal during his lifetime, and so on, calling themselves reincarnated, and in fact knowing no other heavens, being disbelievers in the all person and in my exalted heavens. So here it shows you the nature of low-graded spirits. They engraft themselves on mortals and live off those mortals, and then engraft themselves on another mortal and just keep going, so and so. Almost like in the movie Fallen that we spoke about a couple weeks ago, where in that movie Azazel was moving through people. The spirit of Azazel was moving through mortals, and Denzel Washington, he wasn't catching on at the time, but then he started catching on after a while. He started talking to the white girl, I guess she was a Jew, and she started telling him about the ins and outs of the spirit world, about Azazel and how he moving, and Denzel is in denial. But these things are real. They ain't making this shit up. It takes one to know one. So it's like, until you have the experience of spirit, abnormal activity, then you'll know for yourself. And then you have a book like OAHSPE showing you the system in order, showing you the ups and downs, the goods and the bads, the deception of how these things play out. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Yes. You gotta be careful who you get in your house. People invite evil spirits. So, low-graded angels are engrafted spirits. Spirits that engraft themselves on mortals. Verse 12. Such as are below grade 1, thy God has classified as drudges, being spirits that have not left the earth and are bound to mortals. See that? So a drudge or a spirit of darkness is a spirit who has not learned to left the earth. What do you mean leave the earth? Remember, the whole plan is ascension. So when you cross over in spirit, your whole duty is to start ascending in the higher atmospheric realms above the earth, not to linger on the earth. To linger on the earth is meaning that you're lingering in the grades. Earth is grade 1. This is about the corporeal, the physical. This is grade 1. The animal creation. This is where it all starts. You can't come into existence but through this corporeal existence. The angels wasn't created out of thin air. Angels were one-time human beings, so they had to come through the same way. I don't care if you be the angel 2,000, 30,000, 100,000, a million years old. He came through the same way we coming through now, through the flesh, and then from the flesh, we die, and then our spirit enters the atmosphere, and through the atmosphere, we progress, and then we graduate into the ethereal realm. That's the same process in creation. See, Jehovah's one universal order. So if I come across an angel, he can't deceive me and say he was just created out of thin air. I'm going to know that, oh, you had to start like me in a corporeal body. And then when you died, you crossed over in spirit, begin to progress in the heavenly kingdoms, and then begin to invest in the ethereal kingdoms. So for every angel, there is a death date, meaning the day that they died and became an angel. And then that day that they became an angel is day 1 in spirit. And then from the length of time they've been in spirit will be the length of their years. So anybody you know who died 10 years ago, they will be 10 years in spirit, 10 years old in spirit. Anybody who died a year ago, they will be 1 year in spirit. That'll be equivalent of a child, an infant. You know what I mean? People who died 2,000 years ago will be considered 2,000 years in spirit. They'll be considered 2,000 years old. See how that play out? So a 2,000-year-old spirit could come to you being 5 years old in spirit and give you a quick history lesson of his experience being in spirit for 2,000 years. But this is a one-time human being just like you. So ain't no spookism here. Ain't nothing spooky about it. It's showing you the physical and spiritual connection. The life, and then the life after death. I got to check on that, King. The next thing is going to tell you that the places that the spirits inhabit if they don't engraft themselves on the mortal. That's what the next verse is telling you. So first I read you the angels that are below the grades and that they engraft themselves on mortals to stay relevant in a corporeal body, engrafted on somebody. If they cannot engraft themselves on somebody, this is where they go. Verse 13. They inhabit mostly the oldest cities and places of filth and indecency. Boom. So if they're not engrafted on you, what does it say? They inhabit mostly the oldest cities. The oldest city, what are some of the oldest cities? Egypt, Jerusalem, ancient Sumer, Greece, Rome. The spirits of darkness that engraft themselves on mortals inhabit the oldest cities. So be careful going to them oldest cities. You may come back with one of them ancient spirits on you. So it says, and they mostly inhabit old cities and places of filth and indecency. What are places of filth? I'm not trying to be funny. I love New York. I love New York City, but that's filthy. When I go to New York, the atmosphere, you can smell the sewage. There's no trees. Everything is a concrete jungle. Waste on the ground, garbage everywhere. Go look at garbage day. Don't let anything happen to the garbage trucks in New York City. Don't let that shit get backed up, or they on what's that they protesting or whatever. If you ever seen garbage get backed up in New York City, it's pitiful. The rats, the amount of rats. I was in Brooklyn, Sterling Avenue, Sterling Place, going to a fete, a party. We walking down the strip. If you see rats just toom, going back and forth from the garbage can to the street, I'm talking about, man, 20 rats, boom, just scattering, just moving. As we walking, they just scattering like roaches. You know, I'm coming up visiting from Atlanta, so I'm like, damn, what the fuck is this? I'm looking like, yo, this regular? I'm looking at my people like, yo, this is regular right here, these rats? I left New York in the 80s as a child, but god damn, this is how y'all living? So again, what the OAHSPE says, places of filth and indecency. So these spirits of darkness that engraft themselves, places of filth and indecency. The New York projects, hood, wait, this is what that's why maybe a lot of the people in those metropolitan cities have more possession of spirit. I've been in New York City, I know cats was possessed. Over there, I used to be in East New York, Brooklyn, Lindenhausen, not in the projects, but in the area. That's where I used to live when I was growing up in New York in the 80s. Yo, I used to see people with so much motherfucking hate in their face. You know what I mean? You can't even look a person in the face without them getting upset and, why you looking at me? That's a spirit engrafted on you, bro. That ain't you, your normal self. People are normally peaceful. You know what I mean? But the environment, the indecency, the filth, the spirits, they congregate there like flies to shit. They congregate there. And they engraft on whoever human is living in them environments. Encouraging hate, war, evil, jealousy. This shit is just as much spiritual as it is physical. So now you walking around the projects mad as hell. You got hate in your heart. You see a nigga with the same type of attitude and fuck you, fuck him, and y'all pull out and y'all kill each other. Or one kill the other. Boom, you die in the projects. Your spirit is birthed in the projects. Now you a Roman spirit in the projects with that same hate and anger entailing your spirit, and then you go and graft on yourself the next closest person that you could get to in spirit, just like in the movie The Fallen. As soon as that person dies, Azazel goes on and graft himself on whatever person is next to him. He don't care. He don't care if you black or white or Puerto Rican or Chinese or Mexican. The spirits move through flesh, period. And see, that's what you got to understand on the spiritual side. The spiritual side, the false gods, the angels, they don't care about nationality and race. They're only concerned about their subjects, you. While we over here arguing about the races, the gods don't give a damn about the races. They want to collect the souls. They'll collect the soul of a Negro and collect the soul of a Caucasian and have them both of them working in the false god's heavenly kingdom side by side. In spirit. See that? The false gods don't give a damn about race and color. That's a corporeal thing. That's a flesh and blood thing. Flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. So while you stretching flesh and blood, talking about you the chosen people of God, when you cross over in spirit, flesh and blood shall not inherit the kingdom. So where does your nationality stand if flesh and blood does not inherit the kingdom? Because your nationality is based off your flesh and blood. Your seed. Your seed is physical. Your seed determines the line of your genealogy. But if that seed dies off, that genealogy get cuts off, now you a spirit. What's your nationality in spirit? So I'm just showing you the difference between, you know what I mean, like what's really going on a higher level compared to arguing over about sticks and stones, arguing over red and blue, arguing over that I'm chosen based off a book. See what I'm saying? Oneness, Messiah. See, I see you chimed in. You missed me last time you chimed in. No. Bless up. Just saying Hitler been dead, but there is still Nazis out there. Yeah. Use Hitler for example. Look at the genocide he was behind in Germany. Now, all the people, for the most part, that Hitler had exterminated then, how many people he had? A lot of people. A lot of people. The so-called Ashkenazis or the Sephardic Jews or whatever. All those people he had killed under his watch. That died in fear, that died in anger, that died in anguish, knowing that he is the corporate behind it. So now, when he crossed over his spirit and died, all those people that he put to death is now on his ass. They on his ass in spirit. They see him, they get him, they lock him in. This is what you call hell. This is what you call anarchy. Those who you injure, you're going to reap that benefit. You're going to reap what you sow. What you sow on earth, you're going to reap in heaven. Now you understand what the fuck going on. Ain't no God coming to intervene. If you kill a man on these streets, that man in spirit is going to be waiting on you when you die. And when you die, he going to be right there to receive your ass. Because like I said, everybody who die, it's a person that's going to be there. Whether it be a guardian angel or somebody walking by in the street. Just like when you born in the hospital. You just wasn't born and nobody was there. It was just whiteness. No, when you was born, it was people walking around. The doctor, the nurses, your mother there who gave you birth, your father, your uncles and them there. Or however many family members there. When you come in, shit going on in the lobby, shit going on outside. You know what I mean? It's plenty of activity going on the physical world when you was born. So when you cross over in the spiritual world into the atmospheric world or the angelic side, it's going to be the same goddamn thing. You're going to wake up to a world of activity like, oh, shit, this shit is real. Yeah, we trying to tell you now before you cross over so you can be better prepared to deal with the reality when it's time. Cal P. Cosmon Cal, Cosmon P. That's my man right there, yo. We like the Osirians of this OAHSPE, the warrior faithists. You know what I mean? OAHSPE talks about the warrior faithists who defend. They only go to war to defend. They don't go to war to encourage fight, to defend. Like, back up, bro. You can't come in here with that. Back up. Like security guards, you know what I mean? When you in the club, you want to feel safe, so you got the security guards working outside, keep that nonsense outside the club. So that's like the warrior faithists. We keep the nonsense, we keep the false gods outside the atmosphere. You come in here with the false god talk, we're going to check it at the door. We ain't talking about physical harming you. We talking about mentally removing that false god out your mind and bringing your ass back to the Creator. That's the duties of those who serve the Creator. Because when man is in great darkness, the Creator sends saviors. But when man has attained to know the Creator, there is no need for a Savior. So man is in great darkness right now. So we like saviors of the people who's bringing the knowledge, bringing you back to the Creator. We're not giving you self-glorification. We're not telling you to go back to God. We're not telling you to go back to Yeshua. We're telling you to go back to the Creator. which is greater than God, which is greater than Yeshua. Someone said, but wait a minute, God thought God is the creator. No. If you're coming from a biblical standpoint, we know that God is a deity because it says it all through the text. I've been doing the videos on that. I'm going to continue to do videos on that to continue to prove that the God of the Bible is not the creator, but a deity. In Genesis, is a group of beings, a council of beings. Let us make man. That's not the creator. That does not show oneness. Oneness, one God. Even in your Genesis account in Hebrew, it says Elohim instead of El. So there's all type of errors in the scriptures dealing with the so-called deity who's supposed to be the creator. While we showing you who the creator is, hook, line, and sinker in the OAHSPE. See that? Yeah, yo. Yeah, we gotta break them down and raise them back up, yo. We gotta destroy it. Because it says before Jehovah's kingdom can come, ooze got to be destroyed. So the ooze that got to be destroyed first is the ooze in the mind. You know, you got to destroy the false gods in your mind. And then you could begin to build up Jehovah's kingdom in your mind. Because it's got to be in the mind before it could be established on earth. It got to be visualized before it could be established on earth. You know what I mean? You got to have the blueprint. The blueprint can't be the blueprint, and you got to produce the blueprint. So the blueprint is still a fragment of your imagination. Everything's come from the imagination of the mind. The imagination of the mind is the dwelling space of the spirit. The spirit, the angelic, sits in the mind. This is the conduit right here. The conduit. The spirit sits in the central nervous system. That's where the spirit resides. That's the computer chip. That's the processor. The central nervous system is the processor, and the spirit is the one controlling the processor. Without the spirit, the processor can't work. Because when you die, the central nervous system is still there, but what activates the motherfucker? The spirit. The spirit activates the central nervous system, which in return the central nervous system is responsible for all brain activities. All brain activities. All neurological activities. You can't even move without the central nervous system. Central nervous system and the spine is connected as well. See that? So the spirit, out of the 12 systems of the body, the spirit don't sit in the flesh, in skin. The spirit don't sit in a skeleton frame. The spirit don't sit in the blood. The spirit sits in the central nervous system. That's where the spirit resides. Right here. Your brain and your spinal cord. You know what I mean? Where you have dreams at in your brain. That's the seat of the spirit. When God said He gonna give you visions and dreams, where's that taking place at? In your brain, in your mind, in your brain. See that? So you got to understand where the spirit resides in the physiology of the body. And carbon is the key component. See that? This is creation is a manufacture. It ain't no popping out of thin air. So if the body is electrical and spirit is electrical, the electrical components, mineralized or atomic wise, carbon. Carbon is a key component for electricity, for sparking a fire. You want to start a barbecue, get some charcoal. You like that shit? Boom. Lights a fire. It's electrical. It's electrical. The pineal gland. The pineal gland is part of the endocrine system. That's another part that's important. The endocrine system. That's the psychedelic behavior of the body. That's the pineal gland, the secretion of melatonin, serotonin. That's carbon in the liquid form. You ever seen mercury? Remember back in the day you seen when you look at you had the meters in the apartments and they had the mercury, the liquid mercury. That's like how the carbon cells, the secretion of the serotonin and the melatonin. The carbon is a liquid. Like in the Matrix when Neo touched the mirror and that shit became like, yeah, it's tapping in. That's where you tap in at. The pineal gland is where you tap in at. That's where your dreams and all that tap in from the pineal gland, from the endocrine system. Yep. But the conduit of the body is the spirit, which is separate to the body. The spirit could exist outside the body after death. That's what exists after death. The electrical spark that gives you life is that which exists after death. Because when you die, all your 12 systems of your body is still present. Your central nervous system is still there. Your skeleton is still there. Your skin, everything is there. But what was it that gave you life, or life was taken away and you can't come back to that body? See that? It's your spirit. It's the gift the Creator gave you. And not only did He give you a gift of life in the physical world, He gave you a gift of life after death. He gave you the ability, the inability for us to exist after this death, after this flesh body. Because most of us don't know what happens when we die. We don't know. All this information is great, but we don't know, right? This is guide, so when we better prepare ourselves, but we don't know. With all this knowledge, we still don't know, right? Right. But it's better preparation to know going into the unknown in comparison to knowing nothing going into the unknown. See what I'm saying? But it's the experience that one has when it happens, is then you're going to know that, damn, nigga, this shit is real. You know how many people in the spirit world want to come back and tell their people, yo, this shit nice out here? But they can't? Because the means of communication is not there? It's a vibes, exactly. Carbon and nitrogen. Carbon, nitrogen, those are the key components to take you into the psychedelic world. Mushroom, carbon, nitrogen. DMT, carbon, nitrogen. The molecular structure to take you there. The pineal gland, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. When you tap in carbon, that shit gonna accelerate. So if your pineal gland moving like this, or if the secretion is moving in a certain way or whatever, however it's pulsating, when you increase that shit, then you tap in. You ever seen a rim when it spins and it starts spinning so fast it'll like in reverse itself? It's like, it looks psychedelic, kind of like. It looks like, yo, yeah. When you speed up that vibrational frequency, you tap the fuck in. That's what that whole black hole is. This what they call it, the thing in Spain, the collider. When they talking about trying to crack open the what's that? The big ass shit they got in France, and they trying to crack cells to get the keys to the Big Bang and shit like that. They tapping in. The way you tap in is you speed up the vibrational frequency. So what they doing is trying to take atoms and what? Speed up the vibrational frequency and collide them. They think knowing the truth is through collision and destruction. Colliding. No, it's through symmetry and harmony. They're trying to understand creation through destruction. Wrong move. No doubt. So that's what's going on with these things, yo. Spirit world is real. Until you have your experience, then you don't know for yourself, like, damn, did that just move? Did that just fly off the table? Did that door just open? Yeah, there's spirits all around you, the OAHSPE say. I was like, that's deep. So you got wandering spirits who ain't got nothing to do with the doctrines of a false god, not a messenger of a false god trying to convince you to come to this false god. You got a whole new set of rules of people in spirit plane that wasn't religious. How many people are not religious? They don't deal with Christianity. They don't deal with Islam. They just regular Joes. You got those people that's going to cross over in spirit, where you can't convince them to join your religion doctrine in spirit. Then you got gangbangers. They don't go to church. They don't care about Jesus. They don't care about Christianity. They don't care about Islam. They out there banging in them streets. They out there banging them colors. When they cross over in spirit, it's the same thing. They're going to carry in that department. They're going to carry in that behavior. So you got to deal with that aspect of spirits as well in the spiritual world. So when it's just not a battle of the false gods and trying to convince people to come back to the Creator. You got to watch out for these cats over here who disregard all that, and they trying to get at you. See what I'm saying? You could be on the corner preaching like an Israelites could be on the corner preaching. I done seen a couple of videos of Israelites on the corner preaching. There's some gunplay going on the next block over. Pow, pow, pow. And it's on film. They done caught it. They fall. They drop on you know, take cover. They drop down, but gunplay right across the street. So you could be holding the word of God over here, and there's gunplay right across the street. So same thing in the spiritual world, in the first heaven. All type of shit going on. You got to know how to navigate. So you definitely got to be in tune with the Creator, because not only do you got to watch out for the angel emissaries of these false gods trying to convince you to join their camp, then you got to watch out for the bullies of the blocks, you know what I mean, the evil spirits who disregard all laws, commandments, and they just, you know what I mean, want to harm somebody. You know what I mean? And then you got those who serve the Creator. You got to find them, and they're going to tell you how to navigate. Just like when you go to the hood, to the rough hoods, and you got a homie, say, when you come here, holler at me, I'm going to show you how to navigate through here. I'm going to bring you around the hood and show you areas where you can't go on your own. You got to come, because you don't know. If they don't know you, they own you. Same thing in spirit. When you read that book, Life in the Unseen World, when they went to the lower realm, they couldn't just go there by themselves. They had to go with their God, their guardian. And the guardian took them there and navigated and showed them how the lower realm looked, the places of darkness where the spirits of darkness dwell, and how hideous they look in form. A demon is just an extremely evil spirit or angel. That's what a demon is, with the hideous look. It make it take on the form of another look beautiful, because they say the angels could take on names, take on appearances. So he may appear to look beautiful, but then when he shows true form, he's hideous looking. See that? OAHSPE showed you these things. I'm just giving it to you hook, line, and sinker to show you how deep this rabbit hole really goes, how deep this matrix really goes. This is a matrix on crack right here. You dig? The OAHSPE. If you thought the matrix was deep, it gets deeper than that. No doubt, exactly. Overstanding is the best understanding. Overstanding is the best understanding. You know what I mean? But then when you get the details of the understanding, you'll have supreme overstanding. To the point where it's like everything you could demonstrate everything in creation. You can give examples of creation, of the progression, because everything is progression. We're not just here supposed to be doing nothing. Ask a Christian, what's the purpose of life? Ask a Muslim, what's the purpose of life? OAHSPE teaches us the purpose. The ethereal realms. That's our inheritance, you know what I mean? So if we in school, what's our purpose to being in school? To graduate, see? What's the purpose of life? To graduate. Duh. So that's what I'm saying. Once you understand purpose and meaning, you'll better navigate through this thing we call life. The Creator gave you direct inspiration to navigate. Books are just guides to help you navigate. If you go on a road trip, you're going to need a map. But it's you, the direct inspiration, the living being, is the one responsible for navigating and getting there. See that? So although you get the book knowledge, once you get the book knowledge, you got it here now. Now it's playing out in your everyday existence, how you live it. Mm-hmm. All these stories is examples of characteristics and behaviors of humans and angels, and situations that they put themselves in, the situations and trials and errors that they go through in the situation that they created for themselves, and then the help from those high above to assist them get out that situation and bring them back to the course of righteousness and truth so they can further progress. OAHSPE shows you that. Shows you the trials and error of humans and angels. That's the sum totality of creation, human and angels, outside of the creator and creation. You know what I mean? Humans and angels. Those are the chiefs that the creator made to have dominion of his creation, or the creator's creation. We have dominion over the creator's creation. So we have dominion to take the tree, chop it down, carve it out, and build a house. You know what I mean? Take some sand, build glass. Look, we built civilizations. We live in, look where we at. We in a technological world. We have dominion. We are the chief rulers on earth, human beings. And the same rules apply to the angels in heaven. They are the chief rulers in heaven. They have ability to manipulate the materials in heaven to create technology, vehicles, whatever the case may be. As above, so below. Do the OAHSPE talk about animals? Let me read you something concerning animals. The brother wanted to know, does OAHSPE talk about animals? So with that being said, I'm going to read something from the OAHSPE that talks about animals. In the book of Judgment, chapter 12, let me get straight to it. Chapter 12, verse 8. The brother asked, does OAHSPE talk about animals? Check it out. Verse 8. For the beasts of the field, and the birds, and fowls of the air, and for many animals that are companion to man, dogs, cats, made I a place in heaven, where their spirits should survive for a season. Not only do OAHSPE talk about animals, but it talks about animals survive in the spiritual world for a season. Even they have the privilege to experience life after death. Now listen, verse 9. And this animal heaven I grade 1 in the order of my heavens. See that? So when you cross over in spirit, if you still reside on the earth, that's grade 1. Earth on the physical plane is grade 1, and earth on the spiritual plane is grade 1. So, verse 10, for I saw that man on the earth had delight in them, meaning the animals, and I provided unto him for his Isaean, or new, when he firstly crossed over in spirit, for his newborn spirit period, that he may rejoice in remembrance of finding his love. Verse 11, and I made that animal heaven to rest on the face of the lands of the earth, even the same as the place of the newborn spirits in grade 1. So OAHSPE is showing you that even animals survive in the spiritual world in grade 1 for a season. And then it says this, remember, O man, thy creator give to thee. Remember, O man, thy creator gave to every animal a season on earth, but he limiteth them to a place to become extinct. Even so in like duration made I a heavenly period for the spirits of animals, companionable to man. So it's showing you that the same way we have animals on earth and they go extinct, they share an existence in spirit in the lower realm. But it says this, but for man I provide heavens above, where he should rise as to place, even as he rise as to goodness and knowledge. Magnify thy perception, O man, that thou mayst comprehend the kingdoms of thy God. Behold the examples of thy Creator set before thee in the fashion of the earth. See that? So it's showing you here, as above, so below. The animals get to exist in the spiritual world for a season, but we continue to progress everlastingly. So when we cross over in spirit and the first grade, the first heaven reside on the earth, the semblance of that is going to be likened to the earth. That's why a lot of people, when they cross over in spirit, they deny that they dead. Because they're like, yo, I'm alive. I see shit. What the fuck you mean I'm dead? You know what I mean? Because the cord between life and death is thin. So yes, animals do have an existence on earth and life after death for animals. Cal P, tell them. So yeah. So check this out. Let's read on. Because now it's giving you examples of the heavens in comparison to the earth. Verse 15. In large bodies he placed the lands. In large bodies he placed the oceans. Not in little rocks and land and little puddles of water. Verse 10. Even larger than these are the divisions or plateaus of the heavens of thy God. The heavens of the earth are separated by atmospherian oceans. See that? Verse 17. I fill not the air of the firmament with angels scattered about, but I give unto them regions habitable and homelike, and I grade them suitable to the resurrection of the spirits of the dead. So here the Creator is telling you that, bruh, I got homes up here when you cross over, suitable. Then in the scriptures in the Bible it says, my Father have many mansions. He wasn't lying when he said that. When you cross over in spirit, it's a home for you waiting. The same way when you was born into the earth, when you was in the hospital wrapped up in a blanket for a couple of days, and then what happened? They took you home. Your parents took you home. It's a home for you. Same thing in the spiritual world. Everybody who done died and crossed over, once they came out them spiritual hospitals, they went home. It's a home for them. Go get you some rest, bro. Kick your feet up. You want to play the piano? It's a piano right there, bro. Yeah, matter of fact, go pick a fruit tree. Don't think this shit is fucking fairy tale. This shit is real. The spiritual world is moving at a vibrational frequency outside of visible light. That's why we can't see them with the naked eye. That's why we can't hear them. Because they're moving outside of visible light, visible sound, all that. So, with that being said, OAHSPE is showing you the nature of the spiritual world in a book so we can comprehend these things while alive on earth. Margarita, I see you. That's what's going on here. You're responsible for your own actions, right? It says, according to the exaltation of man's soul, so shall he inhabit the place I have made. See that? It says, according to the exaltation of man's soul. You are responsible for exalting your soul. You know what I mean? Learning the ways of the Creator, doing righteousness for good works in an exalted manner. Verse 27, according to his own soul's growth and development, so shall he ascend in my kingdom, outward away from the earth. Grade unto grade adapt I them. See that? You are responsible, just like in school. Ain't nobody piggybacking you to do your homework, to passing grade. You're responsible for your grade. This is school. So it says, according to his own soul's growth and development, so shall he ascend in my kingdoms, outward away from the earth. Grade unto grade adapt I them. It says outward away from the earth. You remember what Jehovah said in Book of Jehovah chapter 2 verse 2? Death I made that man shall inherit my ethereal kingdoms. The way you inherit the ethereal kingdoms is going away out from the earth. Just like the book say. But according to the Bible, Jerusalem is coming down and y'all going to be stuck on earth. Be careful what you believe. Because this is just like school. This is showing you graduation. We're getting up out of here. In the Bible, you're going backwards. From the 12th grade, you're coming back down. Oh, you're going to stay in grade 1. Not only are you coming back down from the 12th grade, but you're going to grade 1. You're going backwards. So, that's interesting. In the OAHSPE, it says we moving forward and up out of here. While in the Bible, it got you believing you coming back. It gets deep like that. It gets deep like that. It gets deep like that. Now listen to this. Concerning how spirits linger around in filth. Verse 28. O man of the earth, consider what thou puttest in thy mouth. For the atmosphere thereof is the food of thy spirit, and the habit thereof will be entailed on thy spirit for a long season after thy mortal death. See that? So it says, whatever you eat, whatever you drink, even whatever you smoke, those habits will be entailed on you after you death for a long season. Because if you ain't breaking away from it now, when you cross over in the twinkling of an eye, you ain't breaking away from it. You got to still wean yourself off of it in spirit. See that? Verse 30. And thy spirit shall feed thereon and thereon, therein and thereon. And thy companions shall be millions and millions of drudges, like vultures that flock to dead carcass. And thou cannot away. Like a lodestone are these haunts to the spirits of darkness. See that? So the impurity attracts the spirits of darkness. So the more engrossed, the more filth, from your personal habits to your environment, so do they flock like vultures to carcass. It gets deep. Verse 31. O man, I have heard thee in thy fullness say, I must have my flesh food. You know how people be, I must have my meat. I understand. But then it says, I must have my wine and beer and tobacco and opium. The habits. Verse 32. I say unto thee, if thou hast not strength in this day, neither shalt thou have strength tomorrow. What strength shalt thou gain by the loss of thy corporeal bodies? So it's showing you habits right here is hindrance. So you're going to take a long season before you break these hindrances, before you break these patterns. That's why the duration for spirits is long. Ain't nobody crossing over in spirits, popping up overnight, and bang, there they go. No, the same way we right now, the same way you used to eat meat and you stop, and you trying to wean yourself, it's a process to everything. So let nobody point the finger saying, oh, see, you do that, but what you do, you have a hindrance as well. So instead of pointing the finger, let everyone progress according to their time. Everybody gonna get there, like school. You're gonna graduate, you may get left behind a couple times, but you're gonna graduate eventually, right? Even if you drop out, you're gonna get your DED, right? Still graduating. So, with that being said, consider thy corporeal body as a ship, in which thy spirit is sailing across a wide sea of water. Better that thy spirit learn to acquire strength while it has a corporeal body to ride in. See that? Here's the catcher. After death, it floateth in the direction thou hast shaped it. See that? Your desire, your behavior, your diet, however you shaped in the spirit, once you cross over, like a magnet is going in that direction. After death, it floateth in the direction thou hast shaped it. Neither hast thou power to go against the currents. Remember, O man, these are the lessons of thy Creator, which he give unto thee, to learn to master the elements of thy surroundings. See that? The mastering of the elements of the surroundings is basically first overcoming all desires. All lower desires. Ain't nobody doing that overnight. Nobody doing that overnight. That takes time for everyone. It says, stretch forth thy hand unto the Creator, and swear thou unto him that thou wilt conquer every passion that is unclean, and every habit not conducive to the purity of the growth of thy spirit. This is the beginning of thy resurrection, and thou shalt be thy own judge and master. See that? So that's why I say you can't dictate to the next person. You are your own judge and master. But as long as you know that this is the way to progress, and you slowly work your way there, as long as you know you getting there, can't nobody tell you nothing, because you have your direct connection with the Creator. You're not answering to no middleman. You're not answering to Jesus. You're not answering to your brother, your mother, your sister, your imam, your rabbi, your camp leaders. You answer directly to the Creator, and you do as best as you can navigating. And eventually you're going to get there. Look how far you got now, right? Compared to how you used to be coming up. So, that's just a little gem right there. That's just a little gem right there. You dig? Because it's a vibes. So let's vibe out for a second. You know how we do. We're going to vibe out for a hot minute. You know what I mean? Go explore your creation. You dig? Yeah. It's a vibes. It's a vibes. vibes. You don't know it's a vibes. You dig? You dig? Coming to you live and direct. Goddess warrior. Goddess warriors. I like that. Warriors. I like that. Peace, queen. Peace, queen. I'll see you there. We just sitting up here tapping in, talking about the spiritual side of things. You know, we keep it spiritual over here. You know, if you want to learn about ancient Egypt and ancient history and stuff like that, they got people in that department. But over here, if you're curious about spiritual life, life after death, what happens when we die, you know what I mean? Who is God? Who is Lord? Who is the Creator? We got that. We got that. We got that. You know what I mean? He was talking about the nature of evil spirits. He was talking about how the spirits of darkness reside in darkness. They move in darkness. Spirits of darkness come out at night. The spirits of darkness come out at night. Yeah, that's when they come out. 12 midnight. That's when Dracula and the vampires come out. You know, OAHSPE talks about vampires. But we're not talking about creatures like monsters, vampires. Metaphorically speaking, that, you know, they suck the blood type shit. They suck the sustenance of life out of you. Let me see if I can find a verse where it talks about the vampires. The vampires come out at night. Do they got one on here? They better have one of the vampires. There you go. The index got it. Let's see here. Let's go to the first section. 6229. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what they talking about. 6229. Boom. And the spirits of darkness reside in the cold where it's no light. Here's a verse where it talks about the vampire. I don't know exactly. I was just looking in the dictionary and just pulling up verses where it got it. So let me see what it say. Man shall say, the Creator was angry, and so sent the land beneath the ocean. He hath not wisdom to comprehend that this day I cast out hell and destruction. So, okay. We in the time of the flood. That's what this time is. This is the sinking of Pan. We're just talking about how man is trying to say that the Creator was angry when he sunk the continent. They're just using it as a metaphor in his verse. So let's run that from the top. Now I know what's going on. Shall men of the earth say, the Creator was angry, and so sent the land beneath the ocean? He hath not wisdom to comprehend that this day I cast out hell and destruction. The drudge is his love, and as vampires they feed on each other to the ruin of both. So here using the term vampires and feeding upon each other's, not feeding like eating them, but just the nature of doing evil things. So let's go to another verse in the OAHSPE where it talks about vampires. 267.3. 267.3. Let's see. 267.3. Let me make sure. 67. Yeah, see that? That's why you gotta double check. 267.3. Bardong. Let's see what we got here. Alright, this should be interesting. Let's see, alright. Let me find the word in the verse to make sure this is it. There we go. So this is in the book of Sepet Amaj, daughter of Jehovah. See, we got the female goddess, Ethereal goddess. Peep that, goddess warriors. You got Sepet Amaj, the daughter of the Creator, speaking here. chapter 2, verse 3, it states, I listened to the voice of spirits and angels traveling with the earth, a wanderer going about, and with nothing to do, said, this is a heaven, and an obsessor of mortals and of other angels. And other angels said, this is heaven. Okay, I get it. So in this verse, they're just talking about how each person is describing their heaven through their, what they consider their heaven. That's what's going on in this verse, just to give it context. So it says, a wandering going about with nothing to do. It says, this is a heaven, this is heaven. An obsessor of mortals and of other angels said, this is heaven. The fairies and butterflies, angels and triflers, that forever look in crystal waters to behold their own forms. Interesting. Said, this is heaven. The rockling, deceiving angels went and inspired mortals to falsehood. And these angels said, this is heaven. Vampire angels that nestle in the atmosphere of mortals, largely living on their substance. So that was the point of me coming to this verse in the first place, was to get at the vampire concept. So it says, this is heaven. It says, vampire angels. Now keep in mind, angels are human beings. So vampire is describing the nature in the verse, what the vampire is doing. It says that the vampire angels that nestle in the atmosphere of mortals, largely living on their substance. That's the nature of the vampire, living on their substance. That's the root. Because the last one said the same thing. And it says, this is heaven. Evil angels obsessing mortals for murder's sake, to make mortals burn houses and torture helpless creatures, say this is heaven. It says that you have evil angels obsessing mortals for murder's sake. What we got going on in the drill culture right now? Murder for murder's sake. Oh, we beefing with them? Murder for murder's sake. Oh, we beefing with them? He dissed my dead homie? Murder for murder's sake. And who's behind this? Evil angels obsessing mortals. See, the OAHSPE is showing you what's going on the spiritual side that's affecting us on the physical. And we can see it play out through the actions of mortals. Now that you know that it's evil angels obsessing humans, when you see these things act out, know who's possessed. Know what's going on. So that's another verse talking about vampires. They feed off the substance of mortals. So that's what we define in here. So let's go to another verse where we talk about vampires. 320 verse 9. Verse 320. I mean, no, not verse 320, but page 320 verse 9. Alright. This is in the Book of Wars Against Jehovah, chapter 7, verse 9. This verse is talking about the Anu degrees of ancient Egypt. But I'm just going to go to the part where it's talking about the vampires, since that's the topic we're touching on. So check it. It says, you know what? No, I'm going to read the whole thing. The fourth degree taught the arrangements of heaven. Now these are degrees that was taught in the mystery schools of Egypt. So this is the fourth degree of the Anubis rites and ceremonies during the 23rd arc cycle, right? So check it. The fourth degree taught the arrangements of the heavens, the place of the sun, stars, and moon, the place and grades of the unseen worlds, the locality of the lower in heaven, the lower and the higher heavens, the places and dominions of false lords and false gods, the places in Haiti, and of hells and knots, of familiar spirits, and also of fetals, both harmless and destructive vampires that live on mortals, and in swine, and in cattle, that induce mortals to eat flesh food for that purpose. Look at that. Look what it said. It says of familiar spirits and also of fetals, both harmless and destructive vampires. Destructive vampires that live on mortals and in swine. Swine is pork. So people who eat pork, guess what? You attracting vampires. And cattle. Cattle is beef. Same thing. And then these angels, it says what? That induce mortals to eat flesh food for that purpose. So these angels are encouraging you to eat flesh food so they can further engraft themselves and feast themselves upon you. But in spirit, though. See that? The nature of a vampire is to feast off the spiritual substance of you. Feast off your spiritual substance. Let's go to another verse, 382:26. (382:26). 382:26. Alright. That's why we be remembering. Should I make that shit into a song? 382:26. Alright, check it. Let me see. Alright, boom. Here go another verse. Talking about vampires, spirits. Gotta give me something to drink. But these vampires, keep in mind, these are angels, these are people. They just characterized with that name of vampires. But the nature of the vampire is to feast off the sustenance of the living. So here, in verse 26, I'm going to just get to the part where the vampire is at. It said, 200 vampire angels of lust were set upon the prince of Troy. And in desperation, he was driven to kidnap Atheanus the prince, who was led to expose by Baal's angel host. So this particular time is the Battle of Troy. But it says 200 vampire angels were released. Angels of lust were released on the armies of Troy. So it's showing you how they're using vampire angels to use mortals or obsess mortals, live off their substance. Angels of lust. See, it's giving you description of these vampires, right? Here go another one. This is a crazy one right here. All this is taking place in spirit. You be suffering from these motherfuckers that don't even know it and shit. You know what I mean? Niggas start losing hair, going crazy. Like, what's going on with me? You got a vampire attached to you, bruh. So check it. Verse 18, it states, listen what this say. And from the mighty hosts of darkness, the drudges, deep born in darkness. Now pestering the people on earth were hundreds of millions of familiars taking to fetalism. Alright, here go the vampire. Key point. Here it come. Vampire spirits who suck the blood and the flesh of mortals till the brain and heart are wild and mad, till the mortal is driven to nameless deeds of horror, desperate with foul obsession, spirits who bring poison on and horrid smells to afflict mortals with, spirits who delight to feed on the flesh of mortals, which is corrupted with scabs and running swords, spirits that teach reincarnation and lust is the highest, most exalted heaven. Showing you the nature and the engrossness of a vampire spirit. The shit said vampire spirits who suck the blood and the flesh of mortals till the brain and heart are wild and mad. That's even hard to comprehend right there. Like, you telling me these angels materialize and suck the blood out of niggas? Because the lower vibrational frequency, you tapping back into our realm. The spiritual realm is moving faster. But if you an evil spirit, you begin to slow down your vibrational frequency. And if that shit gets slow enough to, if your vibrational frequency of a spirit gets in the grid, the frequency grid of 700 to 8 to 700 to 300 nanometers. If they fall in that grid, guess what? We're going to be able to see them. If an angel, now here goes science. If an angel, whether good or bad, brings its vibrational frequency to 700 to 300 nanometers, we're going to see that angel, good or bad. Regardless of how supremely good it is, regardless of how supremely evil it is. If the deity, the angel, falls into the realm of 700 to 300 nanometers, we gonna see it. And if we see it, that means we could touch it. And they could touch us. It can bite us and suck the blood. But it's showing you, because even in the OAHSPE, it talks about how angels walked among mortals. Sat and talked with mortals face to face. What the fuck y'all doing here? If y'all ain't here to teach me about some ethereal shit, or some shit about the first, second heaven level, the first, second, and third resurrection, what y'all doing here? Why y'all messing with us? Y'all supposed to be up there in the exalted realms. That's like, you remember growing up, maybe you was in junior high school, and you had cats from the high school that used to come down to the junior high school to beat up the junior high schoolers, and you kind of like, y'all in high school, why y'all coming down here messing with us? Y'all supposed to be up there, dealing with that. Why y'all coming down here messing with us? We junior high school students. Well, it's the same concept. You got these angels that's supposed to be progressing in spirit, but they find themselves down here with us. Not only down here with us, but physically manifested before us. The semblance of flesh, what appears to be flesh, but it ain't flesh and blood like us. So you have angels that could be walking among us in this realm that we thinking is a motherfucking regular person. Because an angel is a spirit of the dead, a one-time human being. So a motherfucker who may have died in the 12th century AD, present time, and he fell, now this nigga done cloaked back in flesh and spirit, back on this motherfucker in the modern times, like, don't think it's too far-fetched. When the angels come, the messengers come, and it's time to raise up a prophet, they don't come in spirit. They come looking like us, tangible to the touch. You see what I'm saying? So these things ain't too far-fetched dealing with the tangibility of spirits and in the reaction with mortals. So we dealing with vampire spirits right now. That was some bugged out shit right there. What else we got? That's enough with the vampire talk. We get the idea, you know what I mean? The vampires, they suck the sustenance out of the living in spirit. You dig? Conscious Mind, Messiah family. Elijah, Messiah, big up to the family. Black Royal family, you dig? Yeah, yo. So it gets deep, man. It gets deep. You got vampire spirits. So like all these movies that they be making, like The Conjuring, Insidious, Amityville Horror, all those movies is talking about low vibrating frequency spirits. In Amityville Horror, that spirit possessed the husband, and he started whacking off the family. But the spirit didn't appear to him, it possessed him. It was still moving the spirit, moving through him though. But then you have the incidences where, if you look at the movie, what movie was that? Insidious. When you look at that movie, it shows you how when the young boy tapped in the realm, and when the lady and the father went and tapped in the realm, they was tapped in seeing other people in the realm. Because they'll show you the lady sitting in the chair with her eyes closed, but then they'll come back to show you she in the realm. And then they got to navigate themselves through the realm, watch out for the drudges, the spirits of darkness, the chaotic spirits, as they navigate looking for their son in spirit. So these movies are showing you, Hollywood is showing you the spiritual connection from being physical, tapping into the spiritual, navigating through the spiritual, showing you what's in that realm. But this is the lower realm they're showing you. Hollywood is showing you the lower realm. They showing you, I can't even say they dealing with the doctrine of the false gods. They dealing with something different. It ain't like Christianity where we just knocking off the false god and we trying to get you back to the creator. The Hollywood is dealing with more of a magic, more of a independent machine outside of the Christian machine, the Muslim machine. It's different machines out here running and doing things outside of the ways of the creator. It's certain machines that's vibrating in that side, in that grade, in that lower frequency, and revealing to you what's in that frequency or in that realm. So a lot of these movies that show, like the horror movies, the thrillers, it's showing you what goes on in the lower realm, the nature of the beast, right? Like the movie Ghost is a great example to show you an example of the spiritual connection. When Patrick Swayze crossed over in spirit and he had to start to learn how to maneuver in the spirit world. He had to learn how to be in spirit but move something tangible and physical. So the OAHSPE, the movie Ghost shows you that. Even in the movie Ghost, it showed you the drudge that took the cats who was doing evil, boom, brought them down. So the examples are there. Hollywood knows. Hollywood knows. You know what I mean? They know. Word up. How do you get them off you? That's interesting. That ain't something that happens overnight. You know what I mean? They connected to you in many ways. Through your behavior, your actions, your diet, your habits. So it's a process. Fasting, detoxing, connecting to nature, going away from the cities, going deep in nature. Because the spirits of darkness, like indecency and filth, that's where they find themselves most. They do not like places of purity. You know what I mean? So that right there should show you to navigate. Like, well, anywhere that's filthy, let me, boom, get away from that. Let me to go to more pure ground, pure atmosphere, connect more to nature. So with that, you'll notice yourself feeling a little different because lifted. You feel like you're shook. Something's been lifted off your shoulders. Yeah, that's some spirits. They've been holding you down. You've been having back pains. You're wondering why you're having these back pains. Them spirits holding you down. Just keep in mind, the seat of the spirit is the central nervous system. The central nervous system is the brain and the spine. That's where the spirit sits. So if they're going to come into you and then graft themselves on you, that's how they're coming through. They're coming through the central nervous system. Any possession that takes place to a person is the central nervous system. If a person gets possessed, it's going to take place through the central nervous system. If they're going to give you a vision or a dream, it's going to take place through the central nervous system. When you look at the movie The Exorcist and the girl got possessed, it was through the central nervous system. The spirit had control of the girl's mind. Go back and look at the movie The Exorcist. Look at the nature of the girl before she got possessed, and look at the nature of the girl when she got possessed. So it's showing you the seat of the spirit is the central nervous system. That's where the attack is taking place at. That's where the battle is going on at. Right there, right here. The battle in heaven is right here. Right here in the mind. The mind is heaven, right? That's what's going on here. Yeah. The central nervous system. That's the seat of the spirit. Washington, D.C., the capital. Yeah. It's a lot of, yo, the whole North America is wild. Under the inspiration of not only Luamung as the dominant religious figure who try to put a stamp in the game, but then you got these wandering spirits, spirits that have no concept to religion, no concept to the Abrahamic faith or the Muslim faith or Kemetic faith. You got regular people out here just living. People who don't know nothing about that stuff. You see that? So we living in a time of cosmon, the balance of good and evil, and the medium point is cosmon. Interesting. So that's where we at with it, yo. I got a couple lessons I'm working on coming soon. Now check this, right? It's a verse in the OAHSPE in the book of Sustenance where it talks about angels that went to go collect the spirits of the dead. Because like I said, every person has a guardian angel. And then when you die, the guardian angel delivers your spirit to these other angels called, they receive the spirits of the dead. And those angels are the ones that's going to bring you to the place suitable to your progression. It's like a doctor and a nurse, right? So check it. In the book of Sustenance, chapter 3, the book of Sustenance, Son of Jehovah, chapter 3, verse 3. Go ye down to the earth and bring to me the first fruit of the first resurrection. The first fruit of the first resurrection. I know you heard that before in your Bible. But here's the real meaning of the first fruit and the first resurrection. And the Asaph angels are the angels, like I said, that receive the spirits of the dead and take them to their dwelling places. So the Asaph's angels said, Thy will is our will. But what means thou by the first fruit of the first resurrection? So these angels are asking them, what do you mean by the first fruit of the first resurrection? Verse 5. God said, the spirits of the dead. The Asaph said, the spirits of the dead, who are they? God said, when a corporean cometh forth out of his corporeal body, this shall be called death. So he's explaining to these angels who's not aware of what the spirits of the dead are. He explained it to them. When a corporean, or when a human, comes forth out of his corporeal body, this shall be called death. The Asaph said, who then are the spirits of the dead? And God answered them, saying, O ye that died in infancy. The reason they don't understand what he's talking about, because these angels died in infancy. They never got a chance to understand what it is to live a corporeal life. So God is explaining to these angels who died in infancy, who grew up in the spiritual world, and all they know is the spiritual world. They never comprehended physicality. He's explaining to him what is death and what is the spirits of the dead. And then it says here, the Asaph said, who then are the spirits of the dead? Who then are the spirits of death? Then God answered them, saying, O ye that died in infancy, how can ye learn corporeal things? Go ye then to my Lord, Waga, which is Bapan, and he will show thee. He will show you. So God is like, all right, since y'all don't understand, I'm going to send y'all to my Lord, and he going to explain to y'all. Y'all going to gain wisdom. So now, the Asaphs departed and went down to the earth, and the Lord, through the guardian angels, delivered unto the Asaphs 500 Essenes, newborn spirits, and they brought them to Horeb before the throne of God. And God said unto them, who are these? The Asaph angel said, these are the first fruit of the first resurrection. Behold, we know now the beginning and ending of corporality. The earth body for these newborn spirits was but a womb from which they are now delivered. See that? So these spirits that died in infancy, when they went to the Lord of Pan, or the Lord of Waga, in that continent, and the Lord gave them 500 newborn spirits, and then they comprehended corporality. And when they came back to God, they knew they had the answer. They gained wisdom. And through wisdom, they gained understanding. So God said, well done. Take ye these newborn spirits, and feed and clothe them, for this is your labor. See that? So the labor of the spirits that receive the angels that receive the spirits of the dead. So you got two, like I said, you got the guardian angels that stick with you during your time when you're alive. Then you have the Asaphs, the angels that receive the spirits of the dead, and their duty is to feed and clothe you. See that? So you're taken care of on the spiritual side. So when you die, things are already in place to take care of you in spirit. So now, God said, well done. Take ye the newborn spirits and feed and clothe them, for this is your labor. So that's their labor, to feed and clothe them. To feed them and clothe them. Now keep in mind, these are spirits of the dead, but God is talking about feeding and clothing. Like I told you before, the spiritual and the physical are the same, just moving at different vibrational frequencies. So things of the spiritual world is just as physical as this, moving at a different vibrational frequency. So there's clothes, there's things to make clothes, there's food, just like on earth, as above, so below. So check it. God said, well done, take ye these newborn spirits and feed and clothe them, for this is your labor. The Asaph's angels answered, Alice, we have tried them with all manner of food, of which we ourselves sustain, but they will not eat. So now, these angels went to go try to feed them, but the angels ain't eating. These newborn spirits, the spirits of the dead, is not eating the food that they're trying to give them. So they came back to God like, yo, I don't know what the hell going on, but they not eating. I don't know, we trying to give them some fruits, we trying to give them some mangoes, but they not eating it. What's the problem? So hear what God say. God said, Alice, O ye innocents, ye feed on ethereal food. These newborn spirits must feed atmospherian food. These newborn spirits must have atmospherian food. Even as corporeans, humans subsist on corporeal food, go then fulfill this first resurrection. For as much as ye deliver them, so will ye be delivered in time to come. So God is saying, y'all ain't even comprehending. He says, y'all eat ethereal food. Y'all eating ham and steak. They can't eat that. They system can't digest it. They just crossed over in spirit. These like newborn babies. You can't feed them steak. They need milk. So it says here, God said, O ye innocents, ye feed on ethereal food. These newborn spirits must have atmospherian food. Even as corporeans subsist on corporeal food, go then fulfill the first resurrection. For as much as ye deliver them, so will you be delivered in time to come. See the service done in the others. So you serve others, in the time to come you will be delivered. You will be exalted. You will be raised up. But how you be raised up is by the service done in the others. It's helping those beneath you. So check it. Verse 13. The Asaphs then departed, taking the Isaeans, the newborn spirits, with them. But in course of time they returned again to God, saying, Behold, O God, we have gathered of the atmosphere of trees of all kinds of fruits, of all kinds of seeds and plants that grow on the earth, almost beautiful for our senses and savior to the smell. So they like, yo, we gathering fruits and, good smelling shit. You know what I'm saying? Mango smelling fruits, pineapple smelling shit. They're like, yo, we gathering the best of the best. But we gave these to the newborn spirits, but lo, they will not eat. Being alarmed, we again hasten to thee for information. So again, they're like, all right, we gather some different type of fruits. Instead of vegetables, let's get them some fruits this time. We got the fruits, they ain't want the fruits. Yo, let's report back to God and ask them, why are they not eating again? Here's wisdom. God said, O ye of little wisdom, knowing so much of heaven and so little of earth, Go ye back to the place whence ye brought these newborn spirits, and learn what manner of food they subsisted on. They subsisted on. So here God is saying, y'all ain't using wisdom. First of all, go back to where the spirits of the dead was collected. Go back to the Lord, where you got these spirits from, and see what type of foods they ate when they was alive on earth. That's the next mission. The Asaphs went back with all haste to learn in reference to the food, and in due time they came again before God saluting, saying, What shall we do, O God? Behold, these newborn spirits, while in the corporeal form, feasted on fish and worms. How can we bring them atmospheric parts of these things? So now we have a reason why they wasn't eating the fruits and vegetables, because they were carnivorous. It's like trying to get a carnivore to eat fruits and vegetables. They're going to reject that and stick to their carnivorous diet. I'm talking about in real life, right? But in the spiritual world, these spirits were used to eating carnivorous food. So when they brought them only fruits and vegetables to eat, we don't want that. Just imagine you starving and hungry, and you love your steak, and somebody bring you a damn mango to eat. Nigga, I don't want that. Where my steak and my rice, my beans and my potatoes? And then they leave and come back and bring you some lettuce. I don't want that. Where my meat? That's what's going on here. The spirits of the dead are ignorant to the fact that they want the food that they once had on earth. And we're not talking about in spirit like feeding like tangible food. It's the atmospheric vapors from the food. So when you smell a mango, the scent of the mango is what the spirits of the dead sustain on. The atmospheric particles of that evaporates off of fruit, vegetables, and the dead animals. So let's go back, just giving you some context of what's going on. So it says, What shall we do, O God? Behold, these newborn spirits, while in the corporeal form, in the flesh, feasted on fish and worms. How can we bring them the atmospheric parts of these things? Verse 18. God said, Even the last time ye were present, ye said, Ye have gathered the atmospheric parts of trees and seeds and plants, growing out the earth. Why then can ye not gather the atmospheric parts of fish and worms? See that? So God is telling them, well, the same way you gathered the vapors, the atmospheric parts of the plants and the fruits and the vegetables that grew, why haven't you gone and done that with the fish and the worms and dead animals? Hear their answer. The Asaph said, Alice, this is different. This difference we have observed. Alright, he says, Alice, this difference we have observed. The trees and plants and fruits emit delightful atmospheres, most nourishing to the spirit. But that which emits from the living fish and living worm is foul-smelling, being but the sweat and dead substance evaporating. What then shall we do? See that? So the angels is like, yo, the resonance, the evaporation coming off the fruit smell good, but the resonance, the evaporation coming off the animal smell foul. What do we do? So they ignorant to the fact, like, your duty is to gather the atmospheric substance, whether they smell bad or not, and feed these motherfuckers. So they stuck in the cahoots, like, what do? Are we supposed to clean that? We supposed to gather that up? That's what they kind of saying. So now it says here, God said, Go ye to the place where mortals kill fish and worms. And in the same time that mortals tear these things with their teeth, snatch from their hands and mouth the atmospheric parts of the food. See that? The vapor. And give it to these newborn spirits. Remember also that little by little ye shall teach them to live on other kinds of food. So this is wisdom that God is telling these angels, the angels that receive the spirits of the dead, that go to the place where mortals kill flesh, kill animals. And as they eat, or as the vapor from the atmosphere, as the vapor comes off that dead animal, feed the newborn spirits. Feed them for now, but as time progressed, little by little, show them the other foods to slowly wean themselves off the corporeal parts of atmosphere food. See that? See the progression? See the depths? The level that from this point, the spirits of the dead is feeding, getting fed, and then 500, 600, 800 years from now, they exalted as a Lord. But they had to go through these rudimentary stages, no different than the rudimentary stages we had to go through coming into the world, pissing and shitting on yourself, somebody changing your diaper, taking care of you, before you even became independent of yourself. So it's the same thing with the spirits of the dead. These spirits are being taken care of by other angels, feeding them and clothing them prior to them becoming independent to themselves. See that? And by serving those beneath, you will be lifted up in time to come. This is the way of resurrection. So now, let's read that verse again. God said, "Go ye to the place where mortals kill fish and flesh. And in the same time that mortals tear these things with their teeth, snatch from their hands and mouth the atmospherian parts of the food, and give it to these newborn spirits. Remember also that little by little shall ye teach them to live on other foods, on other kinds of food." Verse 21. "And as ye do these newborn spirits, do ye also in after time to others, remembering that what men subside on corporeal life is entailed on them in spirit for a space of time, after entering the atmosphere. Of like substance they shall be fed spiritually. The Asaphs then departed." See that? So God has given them a little wisdom. The diet that mortals have on earth, when they cross over in spirit, whatever their diet was, so shall their diet be in spirit. But if it's an impure diet, they shall slowly be weaned off of that diet and be exposed to other atmospheric foods that are more conducive, that are more progressive for the spirit, that are more nurturing for the spirit, that will raise the vibrational frequency of the spirit to sustain in the realm, better. See that? So that's just wisdom. So check this. It says here, where we at with it? "On the third day thereafter, as above mentioned, the voice of Jehovah came to God, saying, My son, behold, what the Asaphs have done in thy name, thoughtlessly. They came to the fisher and did as thou badest, gathering food for the newborn spirits. And at their side stood the newborn spirits, saying, Why gather ye food for us? Behold, we are now strong in spirit. Suffer us to gather for ourselves. And the Asaph said, It seemed well. Do as ye desire." So now, the newborn spirits, the spirits of the dead, they feeding themselves. They getting stronger. Now they telling the angels, like, "Yo, we good. We good. I got this. I'm good now. I get it. I can feed myself." So now, more wisdom has to be used now, because now the angels are going back to their ways by feasting off the flesh, and the angels not really telling them, like, "Yo, this is just momentarily. You're not going to be staying here eating this forever." So here's the wisdom. "On the third day thereafter, as above mentioned, the voice of Jehovah came to God, saying, My son, behold, what the Asaphs have done in thy name thoughtlessly. They came to the fishery and did as thou said, gathering food for the newborn spirits. And at their side stood the newborn spirits, saying, Why gather ye food for us? Behold, we are now strong in spirit. Suffer us to gather food ourselves. And the Asaph said, It seemeth well. Do as you desire." So thoughtlessly, they wasn't being wise about that decision. They actually let the newborn spirits outwit them. So check it. Verse 24. "Thereupon the newborn spirits went to the fishermen and the fisherwoman, who were eating raw flesh, And the newborn spirits laid hold on the atmospherian part, and ate thereof sufficiently. And then the Asaph said to them, Ye have feasted sufficiently, come ye away with us. So now that, these newborn spirits, they eating. They're like, oh man, we back grubbing like we was on earth. Boy, this shit here good. We ain't going nowhere. We all right. I got my fried chicken, my atmospheric fried chicken. I got my atmospheric steak. I got my atmospheric pork. I'm good. What? Come over here. Get away. Nah, nigga, I'm good. See that? This was going on here. So we said, thereupon the newborn spirit went to the fishermen and the fisherwoman who were eating raw flesh. And the newborn spirits laid hold on the atmospherian parts and ate thereof, a sufficient. And then the Asaph, the Asaph said to them, the Asaph angel said to them, Ye have feasted sufficiently, come ye away with us. Like, come on, it's time to go. Verse 25, but lo, the newborn spirits engrafted themselves on the fishermen and fisherwoman, and would not depart. See what it said? They engrafted themselves on the fisherman and the fisherwoman and would not depart. The Asaph angel said, the Asaph's not knowing what to do, called on my name. Send thou, O God, quickly to them, those skilled in deliverance, that my newborn spirits be preserved unto everlasting life. So now, some more skillful angels got to come to remove them from engrafting themselves on mortals. All this going on in spirit unknowingly to you. You over there fishing, not knowing all this shit going on in spirit. Now, God summoned those skilled in deliverance of engraftment. See, there's a department in true God's heavenly kingdom to basically clear up any problem any disorder in the heavenly kingdom. So if you got angels that are engrafted themselves on mortals, what it said, and God summoned those skilled in deliverance of engraftment, and dispatched them hastily with messengers to the place of the fishers. And here's wisdom from Jehovah. Verse 27, the Creator. Jehovah said, From the trees, the fruits, the flowers, the grains and seeds and roots that grow in the ground, have I created a ceaseless harvest going upward into the atmosphere, which shall be sustenance of the spirits of men and women, newborn in heaven. But whosoever feast on flesh on earth shall not find spiritual food in heaven, but he shall return to the butchers and eating houses, where flesh is eaten, and he shall feast on the atmospherian parts thereof, before it is rotten. But ye guarded of them, be ye guarded of them, lest they engraft themselves on mortals, feasting on their feasts, and so go down in destruction. So Jehovah the Creator saying, yo, ain't none of this impurity in heaven. Like, you ain't gonna feast on these fleshly parts in heaven forever. My food is the substance of fruit, seeds, plant trees, herbs. But the butchering fields where animals is killed, that's what you gotta start. That's what you gotta eat in spirit until you are weaned. So it says, but whosoever feasts on flesh shall not find spiritual food in heaven. So if you eat that flesh and blood, you gotta you gotta cut that shit out sooner or later. Not only you're gonna create disease in your temple, when you eat that heavy beef, that heavy pork, this shit here talking about fish. We used to think fish was okay. OAHSPE said no fish. I was like, damn. This shit said no fish. We thought fish was that was the past right there. You ain't eat meat, but you ate fish. We thought that was the past. OAHSPE say no fish, no flesh. I was like, damn, this gotta be the truth. Because ain't no creator demanded such, making that a commandment and show you the importance of your spiritual resurrection by engaging in eating in flesh. So eating flesh is not only creating sickness and disease in your temple, it's showing you the struggles you're going to have after death, struggling as a spirit, feeding off the atmospheric parts of dead animals before it rots. See that? That's what's taking place with carnivorous diets. So if you're trying to stop eating meat, yo, they got a whole bunch of vegetarian meats that's damn near realistic like meat. Start eating that. You better off eating that compared to eating real meat. You could season it just like real meat, but you're not eating meat. So that's the catcher right there. You still getting your craving to eat meat by eating the vegetarian meats. They sell them at Walmart. They sell them out Kroger's, and they pretty damn good. You know what I mean? So you could make the switch. So if you're a person that like chicken, they got veggie chicken. You just go through the ones and test the ones that's closest to your liking. Bam, and rock with that. They got veggie hot dogs. They got veggie hamburgers. Test these things out and make the change, because you see the conditions that await you if you don't in spirit after death. So it says, after many days the Asaphs came before God, saying, the physicians severed such as were bound, and we brought them away. Shall this be our labor day and night, to lead the newborn spirits about, finding them clothes and food? This have we observed, the more we do for them, the less they do for themselves. Jehovah spoke through God, saying, a nurse I provide for the newborn, but when he is grown, I command him to provide for himself, that he may be a glory in my kingdom. By charity alone ye cannot raise men up, but by diligence to teach him to try continually to raise himself, for here lies the glory of manhood. So basically, you're not teaching them to be independent on you. You're teaching them to become independent for themselves. So that's the purpose of being a teacher. I'm not teaching you to worship me. I'm not teaching you to follow me. I'm not saying follow Selah Shalom. I'm not creating no sects. I'm not creating no Israelite camps. I could have well did that. I could have a big old Israelite camp for the time I started this in 2009 and now. If I wanted to play the camp role and create a gathering and do the whole assembly, we having Sabbath meeting, I could have did that. Believe you me, I could have well did that. It was heading in that direction, and that following those people was hitting me up wanting to do certain things. But I'm not here to follow and lead you. All I'm here to do is to teach you how to become independent thinkers and return back to the Creator and let go of these false gods. And then we can meet on the playing ground and discuss these things. Then we'll be on one accord. The ways of the Creator is one accord. We don't teach one thing over here and another thing over there. Like these Israelite camps, they divided. You got the House of Israel, the Lions of Israel, the Ambassadors of Christ, the Gathering of Christ, United in Christ, Israelite Universal Practical Knowledge. You got all these Israelite camps that's divided up. And they all got different doctrine. That's the reason why they divided, because they got different doctrine. You got Old Testament Israelites who don't believe in the Messiah. You got New Testament Israelites who do believe in the Messiah. You got all this division going on. But in the OAHSPE, they don't teach division. They teach one uniformity. Anybody who read the OAHSPE, we on the same accord. We on the exact same accord. It ain't like somebody who study OAHSPE believe a different God, or the God is angry and jealous, and one time God is merciful and we disputing if God is merciful and angry. Ain't no confusion like that over here. Ain't none of that going on over here. Like I say in the book of discipline, this is where God is distinguishing himself from the Creator. Like, the God that sits on the throne is not the Creator, and he's basically revealing that. He says, this is the word from the organic heaven. Hear the words of thy God, O man. I am thy brother, risen from mortality to a holy place in heaven. So right there, God is telling you that I was once a human being. I was once a mortal, just like you. That's why he says I'm thy elder brother. Because in the eyes of spirituality, everybody is brothers and sisters, regardless of your nationality. Every human being is a brother and sister to each other. So that's why it says, hear the words of thy God, O man. And God, keep in mind, God is a title bestowed on an angel. God is a title bestowed on an angel. So when it says, hear the words of thy God, this is the chief deity in the heavenly kingdom explaining to you, O man. Hear the words of thy God, O man. I am thy brother, risen from mortality to a holy place in heaven. Profit thou in my wisdom, and be admonished by my love. Verse 3. For as I am thy elder brother, so shall it be with thee, to rise also in time to come, and look back to mortals, and call them to thy exalted heavens of the Almighty. See that? So God is correlating with us. He's saying like, yo, I'm your elder brother, so shall it be with you. Like where I'm at, you're going to be here in time to come. That's what he's saying to us. So right here it says, verse 4, to Jehovah all adoration and glory forever. Amen. So now God is saying all glory and adoration goes to Jehovah. Not himself, but to Jehovah. By and through him is all life and motion and power, things seen and unseen. What did God say? By and through him, who is him? Jehovah, is life, is all life and motion and power, things seen and unseen. And what does it say in the book of Jehovah? As a precept, book of Jehovah chapter 1 verse 1, all was, all is, all shall ever be, all spoke, all motion was, and all is, and ever shall be, and being positive was called he and him. So when they talk about Jehovah, reference Jehovah as he and him, we're talking about motion. The all motion was his speech. What does it say here? By and through him, which is him, motion. By and through motion is all life and motion and power, things seen and unseen. Verse 6. Nor is there an angel. Now keep in mind, God is a title bestowed on an angel. So nor is there an angel in heaven so high or sufficiently wise to comprehend Jehovah in his entirety, nor to see him as though sees thy fellow man. So right here, God is telling you like, yo, you can't see Jehovah in its entirety. You can't see creation in its entirety. You're just seeing glimpses and pieces of creation, of an endless creation. And then it says, you cannot see Jehovah as you see thy fellow man. But in your Bible, God is a man. In your Bible, God seen Jacob face to face. God seen Moses face to face. But in your Bible, God's supposed to be the creator. But in here, we understand that God is a deity. So God here is telling you that, yo, you can't see Jehovah the creator like you see a man. Verse 6, again, nor is there any angel in heaven so high or sufficiently wise to comprehend Jehovah in his entirety, nor to see him as though see thy fellow men. Verse 7, for he is within all and beyond and over all. So here God is describing Jehovah like, yo, he ain't no man. He is within and above and over all. So he's not a person. He encompasses all. That's what God is saying. Verse 8, being ever present in all places. All places. Creation is endless. He's ever present in all places. Anywhere that physical manifestation take place in the cosmos, the Creator is ever present. Because it is the Creator through the vortex that produced the celestial body or the physical body. Verse 9, doing by virtue of his presence. Verse 10, quickening all the living, adorable above all things. Even as the sun is to the light of day, so is Jehovah to the understanding of all the living. See that? Whereupon to contemplate is the road of everlasting life, risen in wisdom, love, power, and forever. Hear thy God, O man, and distinguish then that the twine God and Jehovah are not the same. Are not the same one. nor more is thy God than what thou shalt be in time to come. See that? God is telling you, yo, you're going to be what I am in time to come. You know what I mean? You're going to sit on this throne and rule for a minute, then you're going to move forward like everybody else did. But you are not the creator. It says, hear thy God, O men, and distinguish. Meaning, see, God is telling you, distinguish that I am not the creator. You will be what I am in time to come, but the creator is ever present. See that? Verse 15. First mortality, then death, which is the first resurrection. So, like I said, after you die, you enter the first heaven, the first resurrection. Such are the spirits of the dead. So, again, first mortality, then death, which is the first resurrection. Such are the spirits of the dead, angels dwelling with mortals upon the earth, where they abide, some for a few years, some for 100 years, some for 1,000 years or more. So you have certain angels that linger on the earth for hundreds of years of time, thousands of years of time, and not ascend to the second and third resurrection. That's like constantly being left back in grave. And it says here, verse 16. So that's the first resurrection. So the first resurrection, again, is when somebody dies and you enter the spiritual world, the first resurrection, and it's the earth plane. This is the playing ground. The same plane that we on right now as physical beings is the same plane in spirit for when you cross over. And you have people that are lingering in that realm, some for a few years, some for 100 years, and some even up to 1,000 years. So you may cross over in spirit and meet somebody in the realm that been there 1,000 years, ain't even ascend to the higher realm. Verse 16. Second, angels organized in heaven, and their abandonment of mortals, which is the second resurrection. See that? So angels that are in the second resurrection are angels that are organized and abandon themselves for mortals, meaning that they have no communication with mortals, but are organized in the atmospheric plane, which is the second resurrection, the second heaven. And then it gives an example. Verse 17. As the kingdom on the earth hath a king, and is nevertheless a mortal, so in like manner in heaven, in thy heavenly place of thy God, a kingdom of angels, and the chief over them is God, an angel also. See, OAHSPE is showing you that God is an angel, the chief ruler of the heavenly kingdom. No different than man, that king is a title bestowed on the mortal. So it's showing you the relevance of what a God is. A ruler of heaven and earth, not to be confused with the creator. OAHSPE continues to make this point clear, right? Verse 18. Howbeit, the kingdom of thy God embrace all the heavens of the earth. So is it also with all corporeal worlds and their atmospheric heavens. A God and an organic heaven belonging to each and all of them. So not only is there a heavenly kingdom set up on earth, there are heavenly kingdoms set up on every celestial body that has a earth, that is celestial, that is a planetary world. So, verse 19. Now here's the catcher. Nor is this all, for there is a third resurrection. So we said so first we got the first resurrection, which is when you cross over in spirit and you're independently roaming. Then you have the second resurrection, which is when you organize with the band of brothers and a band of sister angels, and y'all remove yourselves away from mortals. That's the second resurrection. And then you have the third resurrection, in which angels rise still higher in wisdom, love, and power, and are sent by thy God into ethereal, midway between the planets, the highest of all heavens, over which are chiefs who are also gods and goddesses, of still more comprehensive attributes. Therefore, I am as any other spirit of the dead, a one-time man upon the earth, even as thou art this day. See that? God is telling you, bro, I was one time a human being, showing you the connection from the physical to the spiritual, or the physical to the angelic world, or the atmospheric world. God is a title bestowed on an angel. An angel was a one-time human being, showing you the progression. God said, I was once the spirit of the dead. We read the conditions of earlier with the spirits of the dead world when they first cross over in spirit, how they have to feed off the atmospheric substance of what they was accustomed to on earth. And weaning themselves off of there, they begin to progress and advance in the spiritual world to the point now you sitting on the throne as God, and you telling and sending a message back to human beings like, yo, you gonna get here. And then the creator is the one who we serve. Don't serve me. That's what's going on here. That's what the OAHSPE is showing. That's why the OAHSPE is effective. That's how we moving. 16 years, no meat, no doubt. Exactly. See y'all going hard in the chat, coming with the Q&As. Exactly. Low vibrational frequencies. Low vibrational frequency angels can't move away from the earth, no doubt. The Palladians, the Greys, and all of them. Yeah, these are the different extraterrestrial races. You know what I mean? You have angelical beings, and you still have terrestrial beings who are more advanced in the Cosmon age. See, the same way right now we are in this Cosmon age, this technological age, this new age, where we are able to fly in airplanes from state to state, and then from state to state to country to country. You know what I mean? So you have in the cosmos other terrestrial planets that are more advanced in the inhabitable age, and they can travel further out. The same way when man first built the plane and he only traveled from probably a couple miles before the plane fell, but man perfected the craft as time went on, and now we can travel from America and swing the damn, fly across the whole planet back to America. We can do all that. We got fighter jets that can travel how fast? You see what I'm saying? So the same way we advance technologically as we progress as a human race, there are other worlds that are more advanced, but they're still terrestrial. So it's a double-edged sword, because you have terrestrial beings that can, boom, travel across the joint and be like, all right, there may be some cats on Mars coming to seek what's going on Earth. And you like, how is that possible? Mars is desolate. But there may be some beings up there dealing with technology. Or that Mars could be as close at the ending of its inhabitable age, but they advanced the technology where they can move about and hop from planet to planet if need be. It gets deep when you start rationalizing about the possibilities, the terrestrial and the celestial. Definitely the celestial. Definitely the celestial bodies. They could definitely move around. Exactly. Because a lot of these deities are false gods. So whilst we talk about hundreds of millions, millions upon millions of angels, one-time human beings. You see what I'm saying? You got to keep in mind, you got angels, North American angels, African angels, Chinese angels, by the millions and billions that are congregated in the atmosphere of this earth. And the atmosphere is vast too. It's spread out. So it gets deep. It definitely gets deep. It definitely gets deep. The life forms, the terrestrial and celestial life forms out here. And the level, because you know, you may have celestial, you may have planetary worlds in the cosmos that may be in their Stone Age period. You see what I'm saying? It may be a planetary world that's in existence in the cosmos that may be in their Homo erectus stage, very primitive stage. There may be another world in the cosmos that may be where we're at, just like us, in the Cosmon era. Just tapping into the technological world, just tapping into flight and vehicle, locomotion, automobile, and stuff like that. And then you may have another world in its terrestrial or in its inhabitable age that may be more advanced. That may be flying saucers. We still flying commercial airplanes with wings. You may have another terrestrial race that may be flying saucers. That's where they advance to. So it's the progression of the inhabitable age of mortals, where mortals will progress with technology and science. False gods indeed, exactly. Many of them are false gods. If they're not telling you about the Creator, and if they're not telling you about graduation, if you got a school teacher in school and he's not convincing you to graduate, then he's a false teacher. If you got a teacher that's constantly encouraging you to try to get to Georgia State or New York State University when you graduate from school, then he's leading you on the right way because he wants to see you progress. That's a good teacher. Just using that as an example. If you're dealing with believing deities and ancestors, and you following these deities and ancestors, and their purpose is not really progression, but to worship them. Sit around and worship them all day, saying holy, 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 holy all day. You want to be a part of the holy, holy, holy crew? You know what I mean? Do they have angels? Do who have angels? Do who have angels? You can answer that. And Bella, that makes sense. That's right. Bella in the building. Yeah, see, it's only two, spiritual. You have the physical body and you have the spiritual body, or the angelical body. So once they lose their physical body, they exist in spirit. But then they have the ability to manifest that spiritual body just as tangible as a touch as there was in corporality. That's the advantage that the spirits have. You know what I mean? Over us. We can't dematerialize our physical body. We can't do that. But the spirits can materialize and then dematerialize because that's the advantage that comes with the spirit world. So any angel, E.T., Palladian, you know what I mean, reptilian, if they angelical beings, they have the ability to appear and dematerialize. Good or bad. It's not even a good or bad thing. It's just something that comes with the advantageness of the spiritual world. Star Wars. Yup, there's only wars in the lower heavens. It gets deep, yo. I like that. Y'all thinking. Y'all brainstorming. But yeah, you have a lot of angels that's trying to get back in the corporeal bodies. That's what, as I was talking about earlier about engraftment. You have angels that'll try to engraft themselves on mortals to see and navigate through the physical world. You see, a lot of these angels, they're navigating on the physical plane, but through the spiritual eye. So once they engraft themselves on a mortal, now they're navigating not only on the spiritual plane, but now they can see through your eyes on the physical plane. See that? It gets deep, yo. It gets deep. No, that's all good. Yeah, extraterrestrials. Yeah. You have physical bodies and spiritual bodies, like I said, but the angels have the ability to appear as physical and then dematerialize. But we can't do that as flesh and blood because we still in our rudimentary stages. We still in our prenatal stages of existence. We still have a flesh body. Once we rid this flesh body, boom. It's people out there who have seen the spirits of the dead. It's people out there who have seen their loved ones, who have seen friends, who have seen enemies, who have seen the people they killed that appeared to them in spirit. So the spiritual body exists outside of visible light, but then those spirits could bring their vibrational frequency to 700 to 300 nanometers. The only way you're going to see a celestial body, whether it be an angel, an ancestor, is if their vibrational frequency taps in to 700 to 300 nanometers. Now, if we're dealing with an extraterrestrial is just another terrestrial being like us that came from a far-off world. How did he get here? Through a UFO, through a spaceship, if we're going to deal with that. Aliens are angels. Cal P, aliens are angels. You know what I mean? It gets deep, yo. Aliens are angels. Because see, when you read the Bible, angels were people. Let's go to Genesis. God said, let us make man. So what does that tell you? God is in the image of a man, a terrestrial, but celestial, angelical. He's existed in the grid outside of visible light in the likeness of us. See that? So the extraterrestrials, the Palladians, the Draconians, the Archons, they got a whole list from A to Z of so-called extraterrestrial races. Whether they be sentinel beings, terrestrials, or angels, whatever category they put them in, they claim to document these beings. Billions. And numerous. You can't even put a number on the angels that exist. Yeah, the reptilian, the Greys, you know what I mean? They got their own agenda. That whole Illuminati and all that, they fall in that category. The whole reptilian agenda and all that, yeah. That's just the low vibrating frequencies. Them angels vibrating on lower frequency. The angels of darkness. The Baphomet and all that. You know what I mean? Malak. That sacrifice humans in blood. Your bloodthirsty God that comes from the Old Testament. Your Canaanite God. That's what I'm telling you. That same bloodthirsty God is the God you follow today. That's why Israelites are so bloodthirsty. We go in the war. Everything is negative. Yes, sir. But it gets deep, yo. I heard the Greys was, when I was doing my research on YouTube, right, at the time when early 2010, 2011, you know, the whole reptilian talk was heavy on YouTube at the time. And you had all these so-called government officials coming out talking about the reptilians and the Greys. And one thing I remember, different so-called, you know, government officials, whoever the fuck they are, they said that the Greys were worker bees for the reptilians. And that the Greys were not actual living creatures. They were more like a cyborg, like a mixture between, you know, organic life and technology. It's like they infuse technology in organic life. So they're like a robot. They're like worker bees. They're like robots with organic material built in them. You know what I mean? That's where they like have no reaction to feeling or nothing like that, because they're like robots. They're not designed to have feelings for you. They're designed to investigate whatever the mission was from their boss, being the head reptilian, the Draconians. Yeah, I done did all that homework, bro. All that. That's why your ass better return to the Creator, because like I said, these false gods, these fallen angels, these deities that are evil take on hideous forms after death. Even in your Bible, or even in some of the holy books that are missing, it talks about how Lucifer or Satan took on a hideous form after he fell. He was once beautiful, but then when he fell, he took on a hideous form. See that? So if you're not dealing with the Creator, moving and, you know, beautifying your light and righteousness, as you go backwards, your features gonna change. You ain't gonna be looking the same. Just like in school, you may see the female that looked nice in school, and then 10 years after school, she ain't take care of herself. She ain't looking at herself. She like, damn, that motherfucker done fell off. And then another 20 years from there, this motherfucker done got totally overweight, stomach bloated, but you was a banger in high school. So just imagine you continue to fall off. 200 years, continuing to fall off, how hideous you would look. Think about how gorgeous a woman was when she was in high school, 180, nice shape. 40 years later, 423, 380, overweight, diabetes, face darkened. You taking on a hideous form in the flesh. So in spirit, you continue to go down that path, you're going to continue to take on a hideous form in spirit, to the point where niggas going to be like, damn, You looking at a reptilian or a goddamn hideous creature, a Jeepers Creeper looking motherfucker. And that was once such and such from back in the day. That was old girl from the block. Just like drugs, when you take crack and all that, how they take crack and heroin do you? Chick get on crack, she was once beautiful, now you take the crack, she looking like the shit eating from the inside. Yeah, the spiritual world is the same. Exactly. Well, y'all on y'all great talk, so y'all up on the reptilian talk. You know what I mean? I'm gonna still come back with that series, Ghost Stories, yo. We could talk about that. You know, I may do that Sunday nights or something like that. Sunday nights, Saturday nights, have ghost stories where we talk about the Greys and the reptilians. You know what I mean? We go heavy into that talk, yo. Abnormal activity, things of that nature. But I want to do it at nighttime, you know what I mean? That sets the atmosphere and the tone for something like that, for the ghost stories. Dig. Organic cyborgs, exactly. Most of the Greys are organic cyborgs, exactly. When you do your research about the government, you're going to come to cahoots. That's exactly what it is. But you know what? Big man roll a spliff, yeah? We're going to vibe out for a few. We're going to come back and touch on these topics. I see y'all in the chat. I see y'all vibing out heavy in the chat. I'm vibing with y'all. But you right now, it's a vibes. 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 Back at it, family. You know, I'm just vibing with y'all this Sunday. You know what I mean? Going through scriptures. No particular topic. Various topics. Just vibing out with y'all today, man. I got some time off. Hard body filming. Back doing this new season. You know what I mean? Editing. Brewing the tea. Got the tonics, the full body detox. Get your full body detox. You know what I mean? Raise your vibrational frequency. Clean out your blood. You raise your vibrational frequency. The more gunk you got in your blood, it slows down the blood. It slows down the flow of the blood. It slows down the circulation. The circulation is the frequency. How your blood circulates is the frequency. If you get a lot of uric acid in the blood, if you get a lot of oil in the blood, it slows down the frequency. It slows down the blood, which in return slows down the organs. It slows down everything. because the blood is connected to every organ and system in the body. The blood is the unifier. That's the connector. The blood is connected to the brain. It supplies blood. The blood system supplies blood in the brain, the liver, the kidney, the pancreas, the bones, your hair, everything. The blood is connected to everything. So that's the conduit. If something wrong with your blood, it's going to affect your organs. It's going to affect everything. But some organs get affected easier. Some things make more time to get affected, but it's going to be through the blood. It's going to be through that gunk in the blood. So as you slow down your blood circulation, you're slowing down your life force. You purify your blood circulation, you get the gunk out, you speed up the circulation, you get proper oxygen to your organs, and you tap in. This helps you tap in. bittersweetherbals.com. Hit the website, get you a detox. I'm shipping out tomorrow. I got some orders to ship out tomorrow, so holla at your boy. We moving forward. We was talking about the Greys and the reptilians. We're going to have to spend a day talking about that one. The OAHSPE don't too much talk about reptilians or any other abnormal life forms that we would look at as strange. Like how we look at the reptilians and the Greys as strange, abnormal feature-looking creatures. OAHSPE don't really talk about that. OAHSPE talks about mainly one-time human beings and how these one-time human beings become angels. And throughout the whole creation of the cosmos, all these ethereal gods and goddesses, atmospherian gods and goddesses, archangel gods and goddesses, all of them were one-time human beings. So it's like, we can't classify them as reptilian because they already said that they're one-time human beings. The only closest thing that I could pull off that the reptilians and the whole Greys exist in that sense is when it talks about angels that are in diversion from the ways of resurrection and their forms become hideous. Just like I described before break. When I described, you may see a nice shorty from high school looked good. 20 years later, she ain't looking herself. Another 20 years later, she looking hideous. Black eyes, belly, blah, you know what I mean? Belly falling to the ground, arms hanging up on the hair, arms hanging up in the hair. But she was 180 in high school, but now she's 375 with diabetes, high blood pressure, and her face drops. She's looking what we would consider ugly, right? That's a form of hideousness. You know what I mean? So just imagine another 40 years. She's 80 now. She probably wouldn't even exist to be that long because of the poor health. But just using that as an example, as the further you go and you're not in the ways of purity and righteousness, you're going to look more uglier and more hideous. So if you cross over in spirit and continue in that same manner, I could see now you look taking on a hideous form. Why, you know, like a reptilian or gray type of form, or just something hideous that is not of normal. That's the closest thing I could connect it as far as that, you know what I'm saying? Outside of the conspiracy theories about the reptilians. Exactly. They feed off, so for example, they feed off the atmospherian parts. So I'm smoking some butter right now. So if there's an angel in my presence that died and was a heavy smoker, he right here like, oh, I'm enjoying the smoke. But as he's here getting the vapors of the smoke off of me, guess what? He's learning about the Creator through me dialoguing. You see what I'm saying? I don't spend most of my time smoking weed doing evil shit for the spirits to encourage me to do evil. I'm inspiring the spirit to be knowing and aware of creation, the Creator, through his engraftment on me. See, I'm not going to sit here and play holier than thou. That's why I smoke in front of the camera. I could hide the blunt and act like I don't smoke and pretend. I don't pretend. I ain't grow up to pretend. I'm a realist, man. I got stuff to work on myself. I ain't perfect. Who says Selah Shalom was perfect? I just brought you this information because nobody else brought it. Nobody else had it on the forefront. And I read it and had a pretty good understanding at the time I read it, and I brought it to the people. That's why I said I ain't start no cults. You don't see me with no followings. You don't see me even having a reader reading with me. Don't think I can't. But I'm just showing you that I'm not trying to here to lead you or persuade you. I'm just revealing this information concerning the spiritual world. Good, bad, and ugly. Whether if you know what I mean, guilty or not, it is what it is. We all gonna progress. It just takes time. So when you eat your flesh and blood, when you eat your fish, when you eat your fruits, when you eat, it's still angels congregating, sustaining themselves off of that. See that? Kizzy, I see you. Kizzy Davis in the building. Love and fire. Exactly, Jamal. Nobody perfect. All you could do is your best. Yeah. Who are you? That's why I said the Israelites are hypocrites. Because they'll stand in the corner judging everybody that walk by. But they're not telling you their wrongs. You know what I mean? They telling you they follow the law. Like you ask one of them Israelites on the corner, you follow all the laws? Some of them will be naive enough to say, yeah, I follow all the laws. I don't break the laws. And the laws that they follow is not even the first two laws which encompass all the laws. Love the Creator and love thy neighbor as thyself. Y'all over there hating your neighbor. Y'all hate Esau. Y'all hate Ham. Y'all hate Canaan. Y'all hate Cush. Y'all hate Mizraim. Y'all hate Japheth. Y'all hate Gomorrah. What's that? Magog and Gog. Not Gomorrah, Magog and Gog. Y'all hate everybody that's not Israel. So y'all not even following the commandments, the first two commandments in righteousness. You know what I mean? Love thy neighbor as thyself. Oh, that's just talking about the Israelites because Moses was just talking about the Israelites, so it wasn't talking about the other nations. It was just talking about the Israelites. You see how naive and cunning that is? Can you imagine some Buddha saying that shit? Can you imagine seeing some Buddhists on a corner? Some Buddhists, my nigga, with the goddamn half garb, right? With one arm out and the other arm in the garb. Can you imagine a group of Buddhists on the corner talking about, y'all niggas ain't chosen, we the chosen? You know how ridiculous them niggas would look? That's the same shit with you Israelites, man. Y'all niggas look ridiculous on them corners telling people that y'all ain't chosen because y'all don't even know. Y'all following a history that's already been considered, according to the scholars, not even real people. See that? You got people out here who not falling for the narrative. OAHSPE talk about Abraham, Moses, and them. But academically, they say them people, they didn't exist. So what you gonna raise, what type of argument you gonna raise then? When they tell you that there's no proof of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or none of the 12 tribes, or none of the prophets. What you gonna do then? Because your whole premise stands on these people. Our premise don't stand on the Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob, or Moses. Our premise stands on the Creator. So even if the stories were fabricated, it's enough information to show us the nature of the Creator and how to avoid deception, how to avoid being deceived, how to return to the Creator, how to progress according to the Creator, the service done in the others' righteous work. See, that don't require me knowing the Abraham. I don't need to know Abraham to know the service of the Creator. The service of the Creator is the epitome of your existence. Not you being a descendant of Abraham. You being a descendant of Abraham proves nothing. If they found the bones of Abraham right now, what'd that prove? What's that gonna prove more than you saying I told you so? See? I told you Abraham existed. I told you. We got one up on the Kemetic community. Israel got one up. Boy, they found the bones of Abraham. That's the most you could do is boast and brag. But that ain't got shit to do with you progressing in the spiritual grades so you could graduate and get to the ethereal realms. That's what it's all about. That's what my purpose is all about here teaching. It's to shake you off the false gods, to expose these false gods. Not exposing them in a bad way, but exposing them to show you that these are not the Creator. Bring you back to the Creator. show you what is required of the Creator, and then you on your own. You on your own. When you in school, your teacher is your navigator, but when you graduate, you on your own. It's up to you to go out there and get a 9 to 5 now. Or it's up to you to start your own business and create income to sustain yourself in this world. You on your own once you graduate. So the lessons of the Creator is for you to graduate. The lessons of the God of the Bible is for you to sit around and say, holy, 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 holy all day. And to bow down at the feet of the God. And don't look up at him. You got to keep your face bowed. Come on, man. And G, I see you, family. The Creator said he's not coming for the lost house of Israel. Exactly. The Creator is ever present. He ain't coming to go, and he's already there. So these false gods got Israel waiting on somebody. Just like the Christians are waiting on Jesus to come back. The Israelites are in the same boat. They're waiting on Yahshua to come back. I don't know what the Old Testament believe as far as end times. If they waiting on the Messiah to come, or if they just, I don't know, because the heavenly king, the New Jerusalem coming down is a New Testament doctrine. So if you were Old Testament Hebrew, if you know anybody that's an Old Testament Hebrew, ask them that question. What is your end time prophecy? Are you waiting on the Messiah to come? I can't say are you waiting on the kingdom, because that's a New Testament doctrine, and according to the Torah, according to the law, statutes, and commandments, there is not a law, statute, or commandment that talks about the kingdom of God coming. That's a New Testament doctrine. So if you are Old Testament Hebrew and do not accept the New Testament, what is your end time prophecy? Cal P, ask them Israelites what is their end time prophecy if they are Old Testament Hebrew. Cal's my Cal, ask them that. Some good shit. That's right. Some good bud right here. Stimulate the mind, you dig? A stimulator is an accelerator. Those are traps made by the false gods. The humans are waiting for a savior and do not work on getting their foot in heaven resurrection. Right. Everybody waiting on a savior. Everybody waiting for somebody to carry them on their back. In the book of Revelations, chapter 19, it talks about the second coming of Christ. Him coming in the clouds, in the chariots, followed by other horses in white, clothed in white. You know what I mean? And they come to do battle on earth. This is what Israel is patiently waiting for. The patience of the saints, right? To see the destruction of their enemies, right? That's what Israel is waiting for. The destruction of their enemies. Because their enemies persecuted them. But as I've been reading in the book of Judgment, chapter 32, that offense or defense, judgment is rendered against anybody who engaged in warfare, offense or defense. That's the commandment from the Creator, not God. You're following the deity going into battle, and hopefully your deity will win this battle, and you're going to be victorious with him, right? In chapter 19, Revelations, when that deity comes and destroys those of the earth, the nations of the earth, what is going to be the conditions of the spirits of those who die? Are they going to collect the spirits of the dead and take them with them and enslave them and make them their slaves on their cotton field? The spirits of the dead that die in Revelations chapter 19. What is going to be the nature of those nations, of those people that die, when they lose against the battle of him who sits on the throne? Is him who sits on the throne, do he got a plan to collect those spirits? No, they're going to be in a lake of fire. That's right. Spirit's going to be in the lake of fire, burning in the lake of fire for eternity. That's the end game in your book. That's battles of false God. When they say the lake of fire, it's not a lake of fire. The OAHSPE explains that concept of fire with spirits. It's walls of fire. It's like being in a jail cell, in the jail wall, the bar cells, the bars in a jail cell, those are walled with fire, spiritually speaking. And you walled in. You encircled in a wall of fire and can't escape. So they can do one person like that, or they could do a group like that. Balls of fire, rings of fire. You just stuck in the center of rings of fire. A nation of people cast in hell in rings of fire. That's the lake of fire. The lake of fire is rings of fire that you can't escape. Your enemies got you bound in rings of fire. OAHSPE talks about that. When these false gods fall and they go to war, heavens against enemy or take upon enemy, yeah, and cast them in hell, places of torment, walled around with fire and smoke. Yeah, that's the lake of fire. See, the Bible ain't go in detail about the lake of fire. It just say the lake of fire. OAHSPE goddamn breaks down the motherfucking whole lake of fire. It's rings of circles, and you in the center, you can't escape. Your enemies got you captive. That shit gets deep, yo. Exactly. They will go to that deity. Whoever you praise on earth, that deity you're going to go to. You praise Jesus, you go into Jesus after you die. Is a Jesus up there waiting on you? Is a Yahshua up there waiting on you? Whatever image you have in your head that you think is the Most High, and it's an image that you're looking at a person like you're looking at me, it's a person that's going to fulfill that role when you get there. Keep in mind, there's millions upon millions of spirits or angels roaming the earth. And the spirits and the angelical side have an advantage over us. It's benefits that come with the spiritual world. So once they have the advantage over us and can pick up on what we consider to be creator or a deity worthy of worship, and they see he believe in Jesus, let me go ahead and pretend I'm Jesus and go ahead and collect, make him my slave after death, and I can start getting my numbers up. I got 3 slaves right now. You know what I mean? One day I'm going to have me a kingdom of 10,000 slaves, and they're going to worship me like God. It's a motherfucking spirit thinking like that right now. Scheming on your ignorance. Say it ain't so. That's what's going on here. Luamong USA. Hey, that shit got a ring right there, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. Luamong USA, my nigga. We may have to rock with that. We may have to do something with that. We may have to definitely do something with that. Put the Luamong USA with the American flag and shit. That's because Luamong is... Alright, so with Luamong, see, Jehovah had a plan to establish the kingdom over here, which is still in cahoots. But if you read the book of East, daughter of Jehovah, it talks about how Luamong found out about the plan for the West, or the plan of bringing those to the West, to the Western world. Luamong got wind of that. And when he got wind of that, he sent his crusades over here. The Christian crusaders that came with the motherfucking cross and the Bible was Luamong people. Luamong and them. When them native Indians came in contact with them pilgrims, and they had that Christian cross, those were Luamong emissaries inspiring them. The native Indians, for the most part, was always in cahoots with the Great Spirit, the Creator. But they were deceived by Luamong people. And Luamong people wiped them out. Then Luamong people brought in the Negroes. It was Negroes already over here, but they brought in Negroes from Africa. Started wiping them out, enslaving them. All under the inspiration of Luamong. We hate the white man, but all this is done under the inspiration of Luamung, through the European. See that? That's how Luamung got on this soil. And this Luamung Empire right now that we're under. We're under the Luamung Empire. That's why Luamung USA ring. Because as long as Christianity stands in this country, Luamung stands. Luamung is the Illuminati. Remember, Luamung had strongholds from the time of Jerusalem. Luamung inspired Ezra. Ezra was during the time of the captivity, the turning of the time of the rebuilding of the temple, 4th century. So Luamung was way over here in the east. Then he made his way to Rome when he inspired Constantine. So first he in the east, in Jerusalem, then he moved to Rome, and then from Rome he moved over here to America. Luamung a cold-blooded motherfucker, yo. This nigga moving around. So now Luamung is Illuminati because the Illuminati, the whole Freemason and all that shit started in Europe. That's Luamung territory. Luamung reigned in Europe from the time of Constantine, coming all down to the transatlantic slave trade. All that is Luamung. All that is Luamung. King James, King Henry, all that is Luamung. All that is Luamung up until today. If you hold a Bible, the King James Version, you reading the compilation of Luamung's work. The compilation of Luamung. The Old Testament God is Baal. You got Ashtoreth in there. And Anuhasaj. Anuhasaj is the Genesis accounts and the flood account. Then you have the stories of the prophets that was selected and added by the Hebrews. Then you have the New Testament, which is Luamung. That's why the New Testament don't got no reference to Yahweh. They just say the Father and, you know what I mean, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. They don't say Yahweh in the New Testament. They say Father, Son, Holy Ghost, and God and Lord. Old Testament say Yahweh all through the motherfucker, but New Testament, game plan changed, different God. Luamung put the stamp on the New Testament with his name sealed under the auspice of Christ. And he put the stamp on the Old Testament through Ezra as a compilation of texts inspired by Ezra to authorize it. So the same way the New Testament was compiled, the same way the Old Testament was compiled. But in the New Testament, you have this new God called Christ. You have this new God, this Father in heaven that has no name. But then we worship Christ. You have people that worship Christ. You have people that differentiate Christ from Jesus. Jesus Christ is not a first and last name. They'll say that Jesus, the Christ, came down on Jesus when he was baptized. That's when the Christ came down. That's a separate entity. That shit rested on him. Who was this Christ? Who was this anointed light that descended down on Christ and activated him to do the things he did? Luamung, my nigga. But we talking about the false Jesus and the false narrative. KZ Rock, I see you, family. Shalom. Exactly, the East Indian Company. Yeah, Luamung made his rounds globally. Luamung was hard body at work. East Indian Company, he over there messing with the Indians, the Chinese, and he come over here messing with the Africans, the Native Americans. That's why in the OAHSPE say Luamung will be the most hated gods of all gods that existed. OAHSPE state Luamung, the false Christ, Christianity, will be the most hated God of all gods that existed. Which in return is to say, Christianity will be the most hated religion out of all religions that existed once you find out the truth that all that shit is bullshit. I'm trying to tell you that the 7-day creation story was fabricated. That ain't how creation came about. But you wholeheartedly believe it. But once you find out that that shit was actually some bullshit, that a nigga sat down like and made the story up, you're gonna hate that God. When you're gonna find out that that God who you thought was God is not the creator, you're gonna hate your God. When you find out that Christ is not who he is not the creator, you're gonna hate that Christ. And it's gonna come a time where that's gonna have to be revealed to you. But it may be a time when it may be revealed to you when all of y'all together are in the kingdom, and then it's brought out. I am not who I say I am. And then all hell breaks loose. According to the OAHSPE, Luamung was delivered and supposed to be working and laboring in redemption. So, if that's what he's doing, he has a lot of work to be done. A lot of work to be done. But if he not and back to his old ways, then that wouldn't be a good look on his end. But for the most part, more likely he's on a redemptive plan. He may be here inspiring me to bring it out, because that's part of his plan, to expose his own doctrine and break it down to, I stop believing this shit, my nigga. I made this shit up. Y'all stop believing this shit. No, nigga, you Christ. Nah, I'm not. I lied, my nigga. Stop believing this shit. That's what Luamung going around telling everybody. Stop believing this shit. So everybody who's inspiring and breaking down Christianity, telling you that Christianity was built on falsehood, that's Luamung's emissaries helping us to break his shit down and rebring you back to the Creator. You got to see how these things play out in the physical world. Once you understand spirituality, you'll know what's going on. Those who's breaking down religion are those who's the ones that the false god, that the once was false gods, are using to help break his shit. Because the faster people break this shit down and stop believing in this shit, the faster he can get the hell up out of here. Because now he's on a righteous labor. So now he's back on the ways of the Creator. So now he has purpose. So his purpose is to first redeem those he misled by bringing them back to the Creator, by letting them know first that I am not Christ, I am not the Creator, you know what I mean, such and such, this is how you get to the Creator, boom, boom, boom. He got to go through that. So if he misled millions of people, that's millions of people he got to sit there and redeem. He got to work with them. He got to shake that shit out their mind. They still baffled, like they can't believe that shit. That's like your mother raised you, and then by the time you turn 50, you find out that wasn't your mother. You know what I mean? She lied to you. And you trying to wrap your mind around that shit. 50 years, that's a long time, and you trying to wrap your mind that this motherfucker told me she was my mother, but she wasn't. So it's the same thing with Luamung. He got to rewrap these minds. He got to unwrap their minds and then bring them back to the ways of the Creator. So that's what we doing. We trying to help Luamung. Because we exposing these niggas as false gods. We exposing the biblical God as false. So if the biblical God is false, where do you go now? Where I'm going to find truth and come to the OAHSPE? You ain't got to believe every exact thing in the OAHSPE. Just get the bulk of it, and you get the idea of what's going on, and you're like, oh, okay, I see the bigger picture. I get it now. You ain't got to go reenact none of this shit in the OAHSPE. OAHSPE ain't telling you to go start a church. OAHSPE is showing you and revealing what happened in the past on the angelical side and how it influenced mortals on the mortal side. That's what the OAHSPE is showing you. Yes, my brother. So yeah, we helping Luamung over here. We trying to get Luamung right by exposing his doctrine. He really over here applauding us. He like, yeah, man, keep up the good work, man. You helping me out. You helping me break free. You know what I mean? So that's what's going on, man. And it's the same thing with Jabril. It's the same thing with Islam. It's the same proceedings with them too. Jabril got to sit there and tell everybody that, yo, this ain't what it is. I misled y'all. Boom. Let me read this. This is an interesting read right here. This is in the Book of Knowledge, in the OAHSPE, in the Book of Knowledge, chapter 8. It says, East said, weigh them, O man. They and their peoples are under them, and enumerate them according to the tablets. And thou shalt foretell the times that they are set forth for them. As they were built up by the sword, they shall fall by the sword. As they stand by the strength of their standing armies, even by standing armies shall they be cut off, or cut down. Here's the catcher. Verse 16. By the sword shall Christ destroy Muhammad and Brahma and Buddha. So it's showing you that Christ, who was Christ? Luamung. But who is Luamung influence on earth? Christianity. What nations are Christian based that has standing armies? America, Rome, Europe, Western Europe, I should say. Eastern Europe is more Muslim. But it says, by the sword shall Christ destroy Muhammad. So Christianity is going to win the war against Islam. That's what it's saying right here. And it's going to win the war against the further eastern countries, which is India, which is Brahma. And Buddha being India. Brahma is India, and Buddha on the border is India and China also. But here what say here. But he shall come against Confucius, which is the Chinese, and fall. So when Christ go against the Chinese or the European nations go against China, they gonna lose. They gonna win against Islam. They're gonna win against the Middle East. America got that. Europe got that. They decimating them from damn near Lebanon, Israel, coming all the way over to Mesopotamia, what we call the Mesopotamia, which is now the Middle East. You know what I mean? Iraq. All up in there. They decimate. The European nations is decimating them lands. But it says when they come against China, they're going to fall. They're going to lose that. And look what it say here. Then shall Christ destroy himself, for as his followers will cast him out of Rome, he will have no abiding place on earth. So it says after Confucius destroys him, or China destroys Christ, he's going to destroy himself. Total destruction we're dealing with here. So I'm just showing you how to in the OAHSPE, it gives you certain parables and certain concepts. And now just a quick verse, to read the whole verse, it gives you more context. But just touching on the idea of how they're talking about how Christ's going to destroy, how the Christian nation is going to destroy these other nations, but going to lose against the Chinese nation. Because Confucius is China, or the Chinese nation. Gotta help Lucifer stop acting like an ugly ass. You're stupid. That's facts though. You gotta change it. But it gets deep, yo. It gets deep. I'll just be pulling out verses just so y'all to gain awareness on certain scriptures that the whatchamacallit ain't gonna tell you. Bible ain't gonna tell you this detailed level of information concerning spirituality. But yeah, though, you know how we do. Yeah, many people leaving Christian churches. But see, a lot of people leaving Christianity and just leaving one false god and going to another false god. So they'll leave Christianity and run to Islam, or they'll leave Christianity and go to witching, being a witch, or they'll leave Christianity and go to the Orishas, the African ancestral spiritual system, but they're still all dealing with deity worship. They're still dealing with the deity. So if they leave Jesus, they run to Islam, they're dealing with Jibril, Muhammad, Allah. They go to being a witch, they conjuring up spirits through their rituals. They go to the OAHSPE, the African spiritual system. They dealing with deities, Shango and Obatala and all these. They dealing with deities. So ain't none of them leaving Christianity and returning to the Creator. They're leaving Christianity and going to these other sects, these smaller sects that were once part of the Christian sect or the Islamic sect or the Kemetic sect, and they created smaller sects. And even these false gods got to deal with the redemption of those smaller sects. So that's why the duration of these false gods to be redeemed take hundreds and even thousands of years. Because think about it. Look how long Lu Amung been on the scene. Lu Amung's supposed to have been in Ethereal by now. He's supposed to have been graduating and got the hell up out of here. But being that he wouldn't set himself up as a false god, he's still here lingering. Lu Amung been on the scene. Lu Amung came on the scene in the OAHSPE. That time period was the 24th arc cycle around 8th century BC. 8th century BC, 7th century BC is when Lu Amung's name get mentioned in the heavens around that time. He don't make his presence on earth till later, but he is mentioned historically around the 8th, 7th century BC doing his abidance in the heavens. He was a part of the heavenly kingdom of true God. Then they broke away and established a trinitary. Three gods established a heavenly kingdom, and their whole duty was to do service to the Creator in another way. And from there, all shit went left. But these deities was part of the Creator's ways back then. So Lu Amung been here since 7th, 8th century, and he was probably here longer than that. That's just when he's mentioned, when he starts separating from the heavenly kingdom of true God. So he may have been here, ain't no telling how longer than that. So Lu Amung been here over 1,000 years and plus. Easy. He's been here since the time of Christ, 2,000 years ago, so that's already a 2,000 cap Lu Amung been here. And then 8th, 7th century prior to that. So you're talking about 1,800 years Lu Amung been lingering. Probably 2,000 years. Let's put a cap of 2,000 years Lu Amung been lingering in the lower heavens. So with Christianity going the way it is, if don't no earth changes come and create climatic changes to where shit get destroyed on a civilized level, to where ain't no more church, ain't no more Bible, ain't no more nothing, where shit is cleared out, he'll have a faster redemption in that manner, because now people ain't drawn in with the same routine of going to church every day. That shit got to be broken up. Going to church every Sunday, that shit got to be broken up. That's part of Lu Amung. So he may have another 1,000 years before he get up out of here. Who's to say? Word up. Yeah, yo, it gets deep, man. That's why you gotta be careful following these biblical gods, yo. You know what I'm saying? OAHSPE trying to bring you back to the Creator. The Creator. Hook, line, and sinker. That's real, yo. The Book of Frag and Pat. There's so many good books. To read. It's a lot of information to digest, though. You ain't gonna read this overnight and get it. You know what I mean? This book contains a lot of information. But I'm just vibing with y'all in the chat right now. You know what I mean? Because it's a vibes, you dig? You ain't gonna get this information nowhere else, yo. And I'm just freelancing right now. I ain't even hitting you with no real studies and no, you know what I mean? No doctrines, no narratives set up. I'm just freestyling with y'all, just going through verses, just being a regular person, you dig? But yeah, though, the OAHSPE where it's at, man, it got more questions. It got more answers than questions. Definitely got more answers than questions. Shoot, I was reading from a couple books. I was reading from the Book of Knowledge earlier. Went through a couple books earlier. We went through a couple books, a couple chapters and verses talking about various things. Touched on vampires. You know what I mean? Spirits of darkness. Yeah. See, I like to expose the spirits of darkness and the deceptive ways that these false gods move so you could be aware of it. So you can't be caught up in the tricks. So I'm exposing all the tricks, just like a magician doing the tricks and he got you fooled on how he doing it. I'm the bearer of bad news, exposing the magician's tricks. Like, this how he did that. Now he ain't make that disappear, he did this. See, I'm exposing the deception so you'll be aware not to be fooled. So when he do his magic trick, you know that, oh, okay, yeah, I know you bullshitting. You can't fool me with that no more. That's what the OAHSPE is, to bring you back to the Creator, exposing these false gods' doctrine. Yes, and Cosmon the Creator will come to many. Let's get that real quick. That's in the Book of East. The Book of East touches on how Jehovah's going to be affecting the souls of people in Cosmon. Let's get that. Let's get that. Let's get that. All right, where we at with it? Check this. Book of East, daughter of Jehovah. Verse 12. When man was in great darkness, I sent saviors and delivered unto him. And my saviors taught man by certain commandments and by prayers how he should live to be saved from sin. So here is telling you the purpose for saviors when man is in darkness. But it says, verse 13. But in Cosmon I shall send no saviors, no archangels with the loud sounding trumpet, but I will come to man's understanding through the light of my own wisdom, and man shall interpret my words as I speak to his own soul, and such shall be his sacred words. So like the sister said, that's how the Creator will reach every human being. Because the Creator's going to be, you have a direct connection to the Creator. Ain't no more middlemen. You have a direct connection to the Creator. You dig? So we vibing out, man. Enjoying this afternoon. Enjoying y'all tapping in. 26 tapping in. That's what's up, yo. Doing our thing. How long I've been on? 3 hours 21? Oh, I've been on for a minute. Let me get over here and get my day started. I got a couple runners to make. Alright, I'm tapped in with y'all. We chimed in for the day. You know what I mean? May come on later tonight. You know what I mean? Spooky hour. Ghost stories. Touch on the horrors and the thriller. I'm gonna start breaking down some of these movies, like Insidious, Conjuring, and touch on how the OAHSPE shows you the nature of these spirits moving in them levels of evil and shit, exposing them demons and shit. So we're gonna touch on that. Give thanks, Goddess Warriors. Appreciate you tapping in, yo. Appreciate you, all y'all tapping in. We can just vibe out, yo. You know what I mean? We can just vibe out. I'm gonna put some lessons together when I get some time. Give you some illustrations, break down some things. You dig? Timetables of Prophecy. Thailand Ranks of Angels. Create little lessons. Like, you know, the 5%ers got lessons. They got the 120, the 1 to 10, the 1 to 14. I should create lessons. You know what I mean? A WASPy lesson, just preliminary lesson. So it's a universal order. So if somebody asks you who is God, you know the answer to give. God is a title bestowed on an angel to rule over the heavenly kingdom. That's the answer. That's the question, who is God? The answer is, God is a title bestowed on an angel to rule over the heavenly kingdom. The Q&As, like how the Nation of Islam have Q&As, call that the 120 lessons. We call our shit the 360-degree lessons because we got the full circle. We got the full revelation. Direct connection with the Creator, exactly. You're already directly connected. You know what I mean? You just got to tap in by doing the works of the Creator. You dig? But let's vibe, yo. Let's vibe out because it's a vibe. You dig? It's a vibes. It's a vibes.